There they are. Oh, hey.
It's us.
Oh,
Aren't
hey.
you guys excited? I'm excited.
I'm excited. I have oatmeal.
Yeah. Do you think the break went by really fast or?
No. I think, like, this is going to sound weird, but I think it went by the same speed. Like, it went by as 4 days as I would expect 4 days to go.
That's such a Brad answer. It's not even funny.
I feel like
I thought it would fly
in
by.
the moment, the days were going by really fast, but I also feel like I haven't been at work in a long time.
That's because you ditched us on Wednesday.
You did.
I
wasn't here
had the
either.
plague. I keep calling it the
And for
plague.
that, we thank you.
Yes.
Hey, there's Steve Moore behind you.
Oh, missed him.
But my voice is back. My energy is back. I am back. We are all back.
Except for Ryan.
So, yeah.
Back. I never went anywhere. I was here the whole time.
You were?
Yes.
Even on Thanksgiving?
No, I wasn't here on Thanksgiving. But nobody was here on Thanksgiving.
Pre-show, YouTube poll. Who wins the Georgia runoff primary for U.S. Senate? Raphael Warnock or Herschel Walker?
Are you paying a lot of attention to this? I feel like we're paying less attention to it than I expected.
I do too. I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to it. But I do have thoughts on it. You forgot to move that one?
Yeah.
So while Hannah's doing that, we also are supposed to have Steve Moore at 107.
For Tuesday.
Monday regular. Going to talk to us a little bit about the economy. And then really excited about the 125 guest. His name is Will Scharf. He's a former federal prosecutor of the Eastern District of Missouri. And he put out a pretty good Twitter thread about what it's like to be a police officer in this climate. And so we reached out to him, and he said he'd love to join the show. So we set it up. And
that tweet went viral.
yeah, I saw Adam.
And we had it. We got it a little bit early on. Somebody sent it to me, and we reached out to him. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh, everybody knows about this thread now.
It's like, look, Adam Carolla retweeted this, which is a big name. So, and so he's going to actually be in studio with us to talk about that and some other things. He worked for on the confirmations of both Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, which I think is really cool. And he also worked for the governor's office. So we're going to talk to him at 125.
In studio.
In studio with headphones on into a mic. Right?
With headphones on.
With headphones on. That's right, Hannah. And those are our guests for today, but we got a lot to talk about. 4 days off. And that leaves us with a lot of stuff to cover, from Biden's comments about firearms to, the Georgia elections and everything in between.
All right. Well, go vote on the YouTube live chat poll. We're going to turn it over to the radio now.
Go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. The Steel Holiday Gift Guide has outdoor power tools and more for everyone on your list. Visit your local Steel dealer or go online to stihlusa.com/gift guide.
Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Find the car you want, new or used. Get it at Clement, get pre-approved. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. ClementAutoGroup.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, McCarthy apparently doesn't think it's collusion if your campaign manager is giving inside polling data and battle strategy in key states to an agent of Russian intelligence while the Russians are helping your campaign. But most Americans would call that collusion. McCarthy's problem is not with what I've said about Russia. McCarthy's problem is he can't get to 218 without Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar and Matt Gaetz And so he will do whatever they ask. And right now they're asking for me to be removed from my committees, and he's willing to do it. He's willing to do anything they ask. And that's the problem. Kevin McCarthy has no ideology. He has no core set of beliefs. It's very hard not only to get to 218 that way, it's even more difficult to keep 218.
It's probably my favorite thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene has done. And I'm not like a huge MTG fan. I'm not really a huge fan of anybody who participates in their own acronym as like conversational as they are going through becoming a historical figure. Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy Thanksgiving, post-Thanksgiving weekend. Hope you had a great holiday. We certainly did. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the 2 o'clock hour. We've got Brad and Hannah in studio with us. Ryan Wiggins is taking a few days off. He'll be back with us on Thursday. Brad, did I call that?
You called that.
Thank you.
I think I have the receipts on my DMs too.
I said to him, I'm like, I was sitting in my bedroom. I think I was shopping online on my computer, hibernating in my bedroom. And I said, I'm pretty sure that the only reason why McCarthy's pulling these people off their committees is because that's the only way he can get Marjorie Taylor Greene support. And now Adam Schiff's out there saying it.
Yeah.
Bold strategy. I get it. I like I said, and I know that a lot of you out there might be huge Marjorie Taylor Greene fans. That's fine. Go for it. I think that she serves a certain kind of purpose, that same purpose, I've said this before, that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez serves for the left. It's kind of a shock value thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it is always focused on the business of the people.
No. Well, no, but you need those kind of people in Congress to move the ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, like, whenever we say Marjorie Taylor Greene is the AOC of the right, what we're saying is she fills that same role that AOC fills on the other side.
Has a purpose.
Yeah. I think it's valuable.
Sure.
At least valuable to the right. So.
And her district reelected her soundly.
Loves her.
Yes. So that's what it is. That's what Congress is. If you don't like it, I mean, I don't get to go to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's district and be like, how dare you? I mean, it's her district. It's not where I want to live.
No. No.
But the idea that Marjorie Taylor Greene has this kind of power with this slim of a majority, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm curious what y'all feel about this. I think it's at 222. I don't even know. Are all of the races called?
I don't even know if they are or not. The last
that
number I saw was 220, but that's been probably the beginning of last week.
It's razor thin, and you need to make sure that you have. You need to make sure that you have the support of the majority. Just because there are Republicans in the majority, if you got to vote on every bill, if you don't have every vote, they will do what they need to do to coalesce that majority. Fox News is reporting there are 5 Republicans publicly opposing McCarthy's speakership bid, and in their headline, putting ascension to leadership role in jeopardy. He can only lose 4 votes, so I guess it's 222. But that's something I saw, in passing over the weekend, and that's all a blur, as you all know. As you all are settling into your Monday afternoon, you're probably on lunch right now. Maybe you're taking a turkey break. At least 5 House Republicans are on the record opposing Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's bid to become Speaker when the party takes control in January. The high-profile defections have raised questions about whether McCarthy will have the votes necessary to clinch the position on the floor of the House. Officially, 218 votes are needed to elect a Speaker when the Congress assembles on January 3rd. McCarthy's margin is significantly narrow. The GOP is expected to wind up with a 222-seat majority in January compared to an estimated 213 seats for Democrats. If all 435 members of the House are present and voting for Speaker in January, McCarthy can lose no more than 4 votes. At the moment, there are at least 5 of those Republicans opposing McCarthy, while several others are seen as on the fence, which means they're in negotiations. Matt Gaetz said House Republicans need a leader with credibility across every spectrum of the GOP conference in order to be a capable fighting force for the American people. That person is not Kevin McCarthy. Gaetz, along with the GOP Representative Ralph Norman, of South Carolina, Andy Biggs of Arizona, is seen as a hard no on McCarthy. Regardless of the concessions offered, the three are unlikely to vote for the Californians' ascension to Speaker. The other two Republicans, old Bob Good of Virginia. Have you ever heard of Bob Good?
No.
It's Congressman Good.
Is that good with an E?
No.
Just G-O-O-D?
Just G-O-O-D. Congressman Good is not in favor of you.
How do you feel about him? He's
Senator.
all right.
Yeah. He's average. And Matt Rosendale of Montana have also voiced their opposition publicly. Both lawmakers, however, have not explicitly ruled out voting for McCarthy in exchange for concessions on House rules. Both men have said such concessions would have to be large to quell their reservations. At the moment, conservative hardliners like Good and Rosendale want to decentralize the Speaker's powers over committees in the way legislation moves through the House. Each member of the Congress has earned and deserves equal participation in the legislative process, according to Rosendale. McCarthy has already agreed to some of the demands by changing the makeup of the internal GOP steering committee, which decides committee assignments to empower rank-and-file members. The Californian Republican is also expected to support requirements that legislation moves through the committee process and receive extensive debate before being brought to the House floor for a vote. An aide to GOP leadership said Kevin McCarthy knows when the time is right to strike a deal. This is all public negotiating right now. That's all in a Fox News report. Does it matter, Brad, does it matter who the Speaker of the House is?
Yeah, it matters. I think it matters a lot. I think Nancy Pelosi's speakership is evidence that it matters. Whether you agree with her, and I will say this, I don't agree with her policies, but she was effective in implementing them, and that's what a good leader will do. I talked about this before whenever we were talking about what do you want from a leader, and it's like I want Denzel Washington from Remember the Titans. We will be perfect in everything that we do.
Yeah.
And I think a leader that can get his party together, that can get them to vote together. And I think that's especially hard on the Republican side because Republicans tend to be a lot more independent-minded people. You'll see that party fracture on votes a lot more than you'll ever see the Democrats do that. And I don't know how much of that is Nancy Pelosi and how much of that is just, the default mindset. But I think a strong leader, one that can guide the party and get things done, is incredibly important.
I don't think that maybe this person exists and we don't know their name. There's a Congressman Good after all, and we had no idea. I wonder if that person exists that can, I mean, they listed that whole article. It's just out on Fox News like right now. And they're not saying this person would be better. So does Matt Gaetz think that the Speaker should be Matt Gaetz? And are you going to be able to coalesce 218 people in your caucus to support Matt Gaetz? I don't think so.
No.
So compromises are going to need to be made, but who are the other candidates that are out there right now? I'm really tired of Republicans getting majorities and squandering them. And this part of the process for Republicans, while the lame duck Congress is still, I guess, I don't know if they're in session right now, but while they're still assembled, this is part of it. There's jockeying. When Nancy Pelosi was trying to be the Speaker last time, she was making deals. One of the things that she committed to was not running for leadership again, and she didn't do it. So this might feel like the dirty laundry is being aired out for everyone to see, but this is part of how this process goes. I'm wondering how much you care if Kevin McCarthy is in charge or not. I personally don't have a repulsion to the idea of Kevin McCarthy being the Speaker.
I don't either. I don't understand why people don't like him. Other than, he's just been there for a while. And that would make sense with, the Matt Gaetzes and Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world because they're very anti-establishment. And so that's that added layer to their, the way they look at Washington. McCarthy's been there forever, so he's an establishment guy. Yeah, but what's his voting record say? Where is he at as far as, the things that matter, not how long he's been there? Because there's people there that have been there a long time that I really like. I'll give you an example. Rand Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Been there a long time, but I really like what Rand Paul has to say. So being there a long time isn't a disqualifier for me.
Yeah.
So I look at McCarthy in that same way. I don't see anything about him that's a red flag to me.
And here's the other thing. What percentage of Americans know that any of this exists right now? Thanksgiving is over. Today is Cyber Monday. You've started your Christmas shopping. Maybe you finished your Christmas shopping. You are in a mad dash. I think it's 27 days until Christmas. You're in a mad dash to Christmas. How many, what percentage of voting Americans right now even know that there's a squabble over who's going to run the Republican majority in the House?
Oh, you want me to get a number on that?
What do you guess?
Americans that know that there's a squabble, 18%.
Oh my gosh, I think that's 3 times too high.
Yeah, I think that's a very high shot.
I would have said that 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Well, I would have said that pre-Trump. Post-Trump, I think there are a lot more people that pay attention to politics. I'm going to stick by that 18%.
I actually think post-Trump, there are people who are more repulsed by politics. You could make either argument for sure. But these are important things. And I know that this is a political news talk radio show. We talk about all sorts of things. Politics is certainly the largest chunk of it, or at least everything kind of, we're always one step away from it if we're, well, maybe sometimes a couple steps away from it. But the idea that this is important, I'm not dissing the idea that this is important, but I do think it's important to recognize these things that consume your thoughts. If you're consumed by who's going to be the Speaker of the House, if that's taking the place of your daily existence, it does for a lot of people. And for the Democrats too. I mean, the Democrats, this is a, I don't like using the word cultish, but people cheer for this stuff like they cheer passionately for a sports team. And those sports teams, I'm a huge Cardinals baseball fan. But if the Cardinals win the World Series, I'm going to yell, "We won the World Series." As a we's kind of broad.
We being Cardinals Nation is a part of the team that I rooted for.
Yeah. I mean, I've not donated. I've purchased things that have helped amount of that payroll exist. We actually have so much more buy-in to the political world that's out there and way less public interest in it. And so what do you do to make it more interesting to the people? I mean, you kind of turn it into entertainment. We've done that, and I don't know that it's made it really a better landscape for the actual purpose that it's supposed to serve.
Yeah, I would definitely say turning it into entertainment has made it worse, because that means that you're encouraging outlandishness, and you're getting a lot more outlandish politicians as we go, who can say the most outlandish thing to get the most cameras on them, to get their, just to get the eyes on them, then they get their point across.
Our friend Todd on YouTube says, "I don't care who the speaker is as long as the Republicans can stay on the same page to accomplish some things this time." I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
I'm not sitting here. I'm not going to come onto this radio show and advocate for Kevin McCarthy, mostly because it wouldn't really do any good. I don't know who I'm actually influencing here to be like, I don't know, Annie Frey said Kevin McCarthy's the guy. That's not happening. I'm not delusional. But I also think that if he's been made out to be a villain to you, that the villain status might be a little strong. But for a lot of people out there, he is the first villain that they need to take out. Maybe Mitch McConnell. He's not going anywhere. I literally don't know if he's ever going anywhere. Unbelievable. Well, the other thing that I want to talk to you about, and we can discuss this when we return, is today's YouTube live chat poll. We welcome everybody to come join us on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We are back and streaming live there. We appreciate you all joining us. In the live chat portion of the YouTube live stream, there's a poll, and we do this every day, and we want to know what you think. You can weigh in, and we will highlight and read the results and your comments. Hannah does the whole thing at 2:45, so you come back for that. Here's today's poll. Who wins the Georgia runoff primary for U.S. Senate, Raphael Warnock or Herschel Walker? 1 week from tomorrow, we'll know what the balance of the Senate is going to be. Imagine that. Stick around. More Annie Frey Show right here on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. In just a minute. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
This is the time to take care of those sleep problems that you've been having. This is Ryan Wiggins. If you've been hearing me talk about the sleep apnea mouth retainers that you wear at night, they're so much more comfortable than a CPAP. But hey, they're more comfortable than you'd think, even if right now you're wearing nothing. Yes, I just compared them to wearing nothing while you sleep. I did that unintentionally, but I will state again that these retainers that you can get at Fountains Family Dentistry, I wear one and have been for over a decade now. Surprised looking back in the mirror that it's been that long. But I sleep great, and it really is because of that. You won't even know that you're wearing it. Visit fountainsfamilydentistry.com and use those benefits before the end of the year. Great time to do that. Easy to get to from no matter where you are. So even if you're in Missouri and you're going, Fountains Family Dentistry is in Illinois, it's right off of Highway 64. So easy to get to. Fountainsfamilydentistry.com is where you start. You can make an appointment right there. You can get a consultation too, but it all starts right there at fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
Air Comfort Service knows that you need to be in your comfort zone for the holiday season. I know exactly about that anxiety you feel when the furnace isn't working in the cold months, specifically a few days after Christmas. We had that experience, and Air Comfort Service called the emergency line. They sent people out, they checked it out, and they replaced our furnace. It was like within 24 hours or 48 hours. It was amazing. If you are looking for somebody to check your furnace before you get into the situation we unfortunately did, which is where it just stopped working, have them come out and do a tune-up on your furnace. This can ensure that you're going to avoid potentially some of those really, really high-cost repairs or potentially a replacement like we had to do. And you make sure that your furnace continues to run in good working order. I, too, looked at my electric bill with a friend who walked me through it this weekend and was showing me how the electric bill is going to, the power bill, I should say, is going to be going up here shortly. Make sure your furnace is working in the correct order, that it has been maintained, that it is top notch. And if you need to replace it, get on the list now to get a furnace that's going to keep you in your comfort zone. And do it at Air Comfort Service. You can trust these people. I trust them in my home, and you can trust them in yours. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Maybe even one in Susie's room, too. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Brian Kilmeade here. I'm coming back to St. Louis December 9th at the Missouri Athletic Club for a Brian Kilmeade live event with my friends at 97.1 FM Talk. Enjoy a delicious filet dinner, cocktails, and we'll talk about my book, The President Freedom Fighter, and all the news that consumes the headlines. Plus, everyone who attends will receive an autographed copy of my book, now out on paperback. For tickets, go to 971talk.com/events.
Brian Kilmeade Live is presented by Straight Realty.
I'm looking forward to seeing you December 9th.
For tickets, 971talk.com/events.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Second Amendment Radio is a staple of solid firearm information on 97.1 every weekend. Saturday from 3 to 4 and Sunday from noon to 1. It's Second Amendment Radio and the great outdoors. 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show.
I've been grinding so long, been trying it for years. And I got nothing to show, just climbing this rope right here.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I think I finally found right about now.
Man, there's no sound on my sheet that matches the energy of this song. I was going to play something and it's like, oh, no, that's bad. That's bad. Southern border, that's bad. Second Amendment, ooh. Economy, yeek. Hunter's laptop, no good. Protests in China, yikes. Are you going to watch? Well, the Iran-USA game will be on during our show.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because I am interested in that.
It might be on during the show.
It's getting a little more...
You might watch it in here.
It's getting a little more dicey as we go, which I like.
Let's talk about that in a little bit. I want to talk about the YouTube live chat poll today. We discussed in the first segment, there's a squabble going on about who's going to be the leader of the Republicans in the House. That person is called the Speaker of the House because they're in the majority. It's a really, really, really big deal that, in my opinion, hasn't been pumped up as much of a big deal as it is because everybody was like, red wave, where's the red wave? It didn't happen. We still won the majority in the House. The Democrats would kill, probably, to get into that position where they have the 222. They don't. So we were able to accomplish that. It is a huge deal. The Democrats in the House are going to be relegated in much the same ways that the Republicans have been relegated by Democrats here in the past, because that was a razor-thin majority for the Democrats, but they'd much rather be in that position. So does the Speaker of the House matter to you? You can leave your comments on the live chat. We will check those out. But the other question is, we have a Senate to decide, and it's all coming down, once again, you've been here before, Georgia. I am fascinated by this race, but I also struggle to get too day-to-day, in-depth, nerdy about it, like I might other things. I can't understand. I cannot reconcile the way the left talks about Herschel Walker with John Fetterman in Pennsylvania.
I can't either.
I cannot. I mean, like, I can understand if you don't think he's the best candidate that the Republicans have ever run. It's shocking to me that as a Democrat, you would be criticizing Herschel Walker like that. Okay, fine, whatever. You don't have to like Herschel Walker. You might not like certain aspects of him. Oh my gosh, if the Republicans were running a white person and the Republicans were talking about Herschel Walker, who is a black person, the way Democrats are talking about Herschel Walker, there would be charges of racism all over that conversation.
Well, they're saying this about Herschel Walker, and there's charges of racism still.
Yeah.
Like, we're saying horrible things about your candidate, and you guys are racist too.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, which is why I kind of am like, it's like when you're checking out the car accident when you're driving by. It's like you're looking, but you're not looking. So you're looking over your shoulder and you're wincing your face. Like everything physically on your body is trying to pull away from checking out this car wreck, but you can't take your eyes off of it. I don't have any problem supporting Herschel Walker from Illinois, as if that matters. Supporting Herschel Walker, I think he has sound policy positions. I think that he would be a good senator. And I don't really understand, essentially, the charge that he's the dumbest man to ever run for United States Senate. And I'm not saying that John Fetterman is dumb. John Fetterman, pre-stroke, had a successful political career. And I mean, like, wildly successful. Why would I say that it was wildly successful? Because look at his policies and look at his resume. How did he pull that off? He sure did. He lived in his parents' house. He was lieutenant governor of the state of Pennsylvania. Decides to run for Senate, has a stroke 3 days before the election. They weren't sure what his physical condition at all was going to be on election day. He wins the primary, and then he goes and he wins the Senate. I don't know if Dr. Oz was that bad of a candidate to allow Fetterman to win. I think that their voting structure in Pennsylvania has everything to do with it. And I don't think that it matters anymore to any voters who the candidate is. Who's the Democrat? I'm voting for them. Who's the Republican? I'm voting for them. That's really all it is. And if you're going to support John Fetterman in Pennsylvania and suggest that he is really positioned to be a good and successful senator for Pennsylvania, I don't understand how that same mouth can breathe the idea that Herschel Walker, who you politically disagree with probably on every platform, and just say the man is too stupid to be in the Senate. I can't even believe that conversation is out there, and it makes me crazy.
I look at it, and it's exactly what you said. It's red jersey versus blue jersey, and these people throw on their blue jersey, and they're like, Warnock or Walker is the dumbest person ever, even though our guy in Pennsylvania can't really form sentences because he's got a literal brain injury. You know, whenever you have a stroke, your brain is injured.
He needs to heal.
Exactly. And like, it's just, so they're like, well, Walker's got brain injuries from playing football. Okay, Fetterman has a brain injury. Like, there's nothing you can say about Walker's brain and mental capacities that cannot be said about Fetterman.
I don't think that the point, this is something I've said here many times before, but I don't think that the point is about the candidate. Democrats screaming about how bad of a candidate the Republicans have. We vote against people.
Mm-hmm.
And you vote for a team. And the candidate really doesn't matter. I guess maybe in some razor thin campaigns it does, but on these elections that are run on a national level, I mean, this is a Georgia Senate seat. It really only matters what Georgia thinks about this.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters. They're the only ones who actually have a say in how this turns out, except for the fact that people across the country can donate. So do people have a say monetarily if you're from a PAC that's going to support Herschel Walker? Do they now have a say in what happens to Georgia? Big money tends to run the show, and the further away it gets from Georgia voting for their candidate, and the further it broadens, especially in a runoff election like this, into something that is like a national race with as much attention as like a presidential race would have maybe in this finite amount of time, financially, with press and so on and so forth. It does become less about Georgia, and it becomes more about which team. It doesn't matter if on the Republican side, and I'm saying I'm part of the problem, I guess. The Republican nominee is Herschel Walker. That's who they chose. That's who Georgia chose. Did they choose that because they thought he was the best? They really like what Herschel Walker brings to the table? Or did they choose that because some big money machine, be it the GOP or the national political action committees, decided that Herschel Walker was the best and he had the best campaign that was run? I mean, you can run a nice fancy campaign for really bad candidates. If the money is there, you can convince people, oh, this person, I see them everywhere. They're working really hard. I hear that a lot. People question Darren Bailey about how come he's not running TV ads? Because it costs a ton of money. It costs a ton of money, and he is spending his money probably at the time in Chicago to get 20% of Chicago, which I think he got 22%. He might have gotten even more. J.B. Pritzker in the state of Illinois put $50 million of his own dollars in his reelection fund before he announced he was running for reelection. And I will say this again, folks, there are no term limits for governor in the state of Illinois. Yeah, sit on that for a little bit. So who's going to win the Georgia runoff primary for United States Senate? That's the YouTube live chat poll. Do you have a gut feeling?
I don't have a gut feeling. I look at it, and there were three candidates running. There was Warnock, there was Walker, and then there was a libertarian candidate. And I think the libertarian candidate got
2.2%, I think.
So depending on how libertarian voters, assuming that they vote, depending on which way they break, they get to pick who the next senator is. So, like, if you're sitting there going, Warnock got more votes the last time, he's definitely going to get more this time. Maybe, but maybe not. I don't know what type of libertarian there is in Georgia. Are they the more...
Are they going to show up and vote?
Right. Are they going to show up? Are they going to be mad and stay home? Or are they going to show up and they're going to vote for a Republican? Or are they going to vote for a Democrat? What are they going to do?
So what's your guess? Make a bold prediction.
Walker's going to win by the slimmest of margins.
You think Walker's going to win?
Yeah, I think that those libertarians are going to break toward Walker.
Anna?
I don't think Walker's going to win. I want him to win. Can either one of you explain to me how a runoff works?
Sure.
I'm a little confused.
So in the general election in Florida, you have to have it's a majority, not a plurality. Plurality means the most.
The biggest chunk.
Majority means you have to have a 50% plus one vote to win that seat. So in the United States Senate, Georgia has a seat that's open. Raphael Warnock currently holds that seat. He's the incumbent. Herschel Walker was running against him, but there was also a libertarian candidate that was on the ticket. So Raphael Warnock got 49.2% or something, 49 point something percent of the vote. Herschel Walker got like 48.2% of the vote. And the rest of that percentage was sucked up by the libertarian candidate. So they take the top two and make them have a runoff election, because in order to win that seat, they have to have 50% plus one. They have to have a majority of Georgia saying this is the person.
So voters will have to vote.
It's just
again?
it's another election.
Okay.
Yep. So it's a week from tomorrow in Georgia. Raphael Warnock runs against Herschel Walker. Just two people on the ballot, unlike the last time where there were three for this particular race. But that's the only thing on the ballot, as far as I know. I don't know that there's anything else that has to be run off, but that's what people will go again, like another election day, and they will choose Raphael Warnock or Herschel Walker. And if there's only two of them there, one of them will have to get the majority of the vote.
Does this happen often in Georgia?
It happened 2 years ago, yeah. And 2 years ago, it was for two senators because they had a retirement and a seat that was up.
Was it Loeffler was appointed when in the retirement?
Yeah, she was an incumbent. They both were.
Right, she was in the position, but she wasn't because Warnock's it didn't serve a full term.
No,
which is why he's up for
I think
election.
Loeffler might have been a full term. I don't remember.
One of them was a full term, and also
we had two Republican incumbents that were on the ballot at the same time in 2020. So two Republicans. Senators, right, in Georgia that were in the Senate and they were running for re-election, and they both lost. And they both this is in 20. Let's put the timeline out here. I'm glad you asked this question. Donald Trump loses the election in November. From November through, January 6th, really, there were questions about if it was going to be overturned or not, and lots of drama and lots of angst, of course. The Georgia senators who were running for those races, neither one of them got 50%. So they both had, I think they both won their majorities, but they both had to go to their own individual runoffs. So while Donald Trump loses the election in November, the lay of the Senate ends up being 50 Republicans, 48 Democrats. After the election is all said and done, because there are two seats that are currently held by Republicans who didn't win in Georgia the majority, the 50% plus one. So they had to go back and run in a runoff. So if you look at incumbents in Georgia's a red side of purple state 2 years ago. If you look at Georgia and you see you got two Republican incumbents, just one of them has to win in order for the Republicans to have the majority in the Senate. They both go to a runoff, and the runoff is January 5th, 2021. And they both lose, which makes it a 50-50 Senate, which means that the tying vote goes to the Vice President of the United States, who serves as the President of the Senate, who is Kamala Harris. So the Democrats win the majority in the Senate. And I think that is an often overlooked part of January 6th, was the fact that Georgia Senate runoff took place the day before.
That's something I didn't know, and that raises my eyebrow.
It was blow after blow after blow after blow for people who, A, like Donald Trump, people who, B, were fine with Donald Trump, wanted him to win, voted for him, maybe weren't going to the Capitol to be at a march because they wanted to be there for him or whatever. That you lose the presidency, you see what's happening here. Joe Biden's going to be the president. It was one thing for Donald Trump to lose the presidency. Then you realized Joe Biden is going to be the president of the United States. This is not even responsible. He can't. Can he? At that point, you're thinking, can he even do this? A lot of us have our answer by now. And then you think, all right, the Democrats have the House, super slim majority, but the Republicans, we've got 2 Republicans who at least one of them is going to win, but they'll probably both win their Senate seats back. And if the Republicans hold the Senate, then we've got that stop, that speed bump that's insurmountable for Joe Biden to do all of the super progressive things that he's going to want to do. And then the Republicans lose the Senate. And then Joe Biden is the president. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. And now you have Chuck Schumer as the leader of the Republicans, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate. That was a super, super low moment for Republicans.
Yeah, that's a shot to the chest.
And then the next day was January 6th. And so temperatures were certainly running high. And that's why there were so many people who showed up in the Capitol that day to hear what President Trump had to say. And it's important to distinguish the difference between the thousands of people who showed up at the Capitol that day because they were upset and they were angry and they were super disappointed and they wanted to show support for something, where a very small portion of the whole that showed up ends up storming the Capitol and creating a day that we will all remember for the rest of our lives. And I was live on the air while it was happening. It was shocking. It was jaw-dropping. It was scary at the time to watch. And, you know, that's all of these things coming together for a perfect storm. I think it's important to remember there's a difference between excusing and explaining.
Mm-hmm.
This is an explanation.
Yeah.
And I think about the people who were, you know, we know people personally who were there, who were on the other side of the building, did not even know this stuff was going on from where the people were breaking into the Capitol building. And those people have all been lumped together. I think that's wrong. I think it's easy, simple, and not done enough to call out the difference between people who decided to break the windows of the Capitol and run in, and those people who showed up to exercise their First Amendment right to say, I don't like this. I don't like the way this is going. And if you are celebrating what's going on in China right now, the protests that are going on in China against the Chinese government, man, that's a story and a half. We can talk about that when we come back. There are protests going on in Iran, which I'm going to try to say right now. Have you heard the clip of that reporter? Ask the question of the soccer player, Tyler Adams?
No, I have not heard that.
We'll talk about protests. Let's talk about the idea of protesting. And in the United States of America, we're a little bit, I was going to say bipolar, but I don't know if that's an appropriate usage of that term. Split personality.
Yeah.
Like we have varying degrees of understanding and appreciation for vocalizing dissent.
We lack perspective.
Yeah. And across the world right now, people are vocalizing, and they might be risking their lives in doing it. Here in the United States, if you protest for the wrong thing, you get in trouble for it. If you protest for the right thing, you won't even get in trouble. Let's talk about that on the Annie Frey Show when we come back. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Do you know how much of your life savings you could lose in the next market downturn? Are you okay with the stock market controlling your financial future, or would you like to have more control? Hi, I'm Ken Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. Our team can stress test your retirement portfolio and give you the confidence to enjoy your retirement without having to worry about what the stock market is doing. Call 314-328-6000 today. That's 314-328-6000, and schedule your complimentary retirement roadmap review with our team. That's 314-328-6000. Again, that's 314-328-6000.
High Z Advisory Group provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Purchasing insurance is something that, like, I could just tell you specifically for me, I hand it off to my husband. My husband called Laura Michael Insurance and talked to her about how we could potentially improve our insurance situation for our house personally. Laura Michael Insurance in St. Charles, Missouri, does auto, home, life, commercial insurance as well. And I went to her because I trust her completely. She is very experienced in the insurance business, 25 years of experience in the insurance business. And the thing that I love the most about how Laura operates her insurance company is the attention to detail that she puts into your specific situation. If you do your commercial insurance through Laura Michael, what you're going to understand is she's going to constantly be reviewing your policies to make sure that you have all of the coverage you need, but that you're not paying for things that you don't. She helps small businesses with business continuation. And if somebody in your business ends up leaving, if you happen to lose a key employee, how are you going to be able to continue from that place where you were to continue to grow to where you need to be and be covered the entire time? She monitors that entire situation for you, and she makes sure that you have that coverage that you need without spending any extra pennies that you need to save, especially right now. She will provide you that security and that peace of mind to know that you are in the best hands all of the time. Call Laura Michael Insurance like my family did. You can visit them online at lauramichaelinsurance.com. That's Laura, Michel, insurance.com.
If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system, options, and strategies to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. If having turkey for the holidays, buy from a local farm, get one labeled USDA organic or certified humane. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Visit Shane Company. We have the largest selection of natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes, each one hand-selected for its beauty.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service now offers insulation services. Did you know 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated? Increase your energy savings and comfort with better insulation. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
We know you won't hear it all, so we're highlighting as it happens on the socials. Follow 97.1 on Twitter and Facebook and weigh in. They can't ban all of us. This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
It is definitely posing a challenge to the government. The question is how big of a challenge, because this is a government that has built a security apparatus over 2 decades precisely to control this kind of thing. But let's look at the scale of this, right? The protests happen in China. It's a country of more than 1.5 billion people, but those are local. This is national, and it is affecting China's biggest, most powerful cities. Of course, the capital, Beijing, Shanghai Business Center, Guangzhou in the south, Nanjing, Wuhan, Chongqing, Chengdu. These are cities of tens of millions of people in many cases. And when you look at the protests, they're not small and isolated. They are often involving hundreds of people out in public places, as Selena mentioned, with their masks off, allows them to be easily identified. And that is an act of courage in this country, because this is a country that tracks every act of dissent. It knows who you are, and it punishes those people.
That's CNN's Jim Sciutto talking about the protesters in China. And here's the deal. China has a zero COVID policy, which is to say that you are basically not free until China has reached zero COVID. That's ironic, isn't it? Well, what has China done? What has the government there done to its people in order to achieve zero COVID? They literally weld them into their own homes. And was it this weekend or maybe it was last week at some point? There was a building that caught on fire and people were welded into their own homes. These people couldn't get out of their apartment building. And 10 people burned alive because they were not able to escape the building because the Chinese government locked them in there. That is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually a reality, which is the sad and ironic part about all of this. So there's video on Twitter that shows fire hoses trying to put the fire out of this apartment building. The water couldn't even reach the apartment because of the way that they had put up fences around this building and kept this building. I mean, basically what they're doing is, in theory, the idea is that they're protecting the people from COVID. Isn't that ironic? The Chinese government is protecting its people from COVID, and in collateral damage of their policies is that they burn alive in their homes. So you see a lot of videos right now on Twitter and news reports in some cases here in the United States showing Chinese people protesting in the streets because of this zero COVID policy that the Chinese government has. This is not a normal thing. The idea that the Chinese would be out protesting their government in the streets, not a typical thing, a visual that you will see in news reports. Listen to Jim Acosta from CNN.
We are following the very latest on rare scenes of protest and defiance across China as the regime's zero COVID policy is leaving citizens with zero tolerance and zero patience. Anger is growing after never-ending stringent lockdowns have cost the Chinese people money, social freedoms, and in some cases their lives. These widespread protests come just days after a high-rise apartment fire killed 10 people. Video appears to show lockdown measures delaying firefighters from getting quick access to the scene. In a southwestern province of China, crowds can be heard chanting freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Others are calling on President Xi Jinping of China to step down.
So the reason why I want you to hear that from Jim Acosta, you might be like, Annie, Jim Acosta, are you kidding me? Yeah, even Jim Acosta. That's the point. Even CNN's Jim Acosta is going, guys, this is kind of a thing. We should be paying attention to this. I think it's incredible to look at what Chinese citizens are doing, protesting their government, where their government's retribution is a little steeper than the United States government.
You get disappeared. Like you go away and nobody knows what happens to you. That's what happens to you when you stand against the CCP in China, especially if you call for their removal from power. So you have these people protesting. This is a Fox News report. The White House and the U.S. State Department, expressed disagreement with China's zero COVID policy and support for the ongoing protests across the country. Quote, "We've said that zero COVID is not a policy we're pursuing here," according to White House National Security Council spokesperson who told that to Fox News Digital today. Quote, "And we've said we think it's going to be very difficult for the People's Republic of China to be able to contain this virus through their zero COVID strategy." That is not the same thing as saying, stop doing this to your people. Mm-hmm. Saying zero COVID's not really a great strategy, China. There's a lot to unpack there. I think we're all in favor of a zero COVID from China policy, but yet here we are. The comments come as massive protests have raged across China in recent days, spreading to 20 provinces and the cities of Beijing and Shanghai, with some calling on President Biden to say more in support of the protesters. Lisa Daftari, a foreign policy commentator for Foreign Desk News, drew parallels to the China protests and those still going on in Iran, arguing that people were standing up against corrupt political systems such as communism and theocracy. According to Daftari, media got both wrong. Biden, Edmund, silent. The protesters originated after a deadly apartment building fire last week in the Xinjiang regional capital of, I don't want to even mess that up, which resulted in the deaths of 10 people. As a result of lockdown measures in the city that have been in place for over 100 days, the city's fire department was delayed in arriving at the scene. So we talk about protesting. We talk about freedom of speech here. Do we enjoy it? You bet your britches we do. That's something my grandpa used to say. Britches. Do people still say britches? I do sometimes.
Sometimes? You feel like refined when you say britches? Or is it the opposite?
It's the opposite. But
I
that's
like
okay.
it. I like it. I like the way britches feels. Yeah, just whatever. It's amazing to look at what's going on in the rest of the world when it comes to protesting your own government. Steve Moore when we come back.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. Let's make sure your current payroll provider isn't overcharging you, shall we? First, go to your payroll provider's website to see what you're currently paying. Oh, what's that? You can't clearly see your pricing because your vendor is running a temporary sale or making you call for a free quote? That's unfortunate. If you go to PatriotSoftware.com, you will instantly see our payroll pricing for companies with 1 to 100 employees. Well, there you go. At least now you know what you should be paying for payroll. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Hurry into Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and save $500 on select adjustable mattress sets. Plus, get a $300 instant gift. Mattresses and bases are in stock for fast delivery. With our Love Your Mattress guarantee, get the lowest price and 120 nights to sleep on it. Only at Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Victims' families say it's just the beginning. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. This after a guilty plea from the teenager behind a hate-fueled massacre at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York.
In Erie County, New York, the defendant pled guilty. Prosecutor John Flynn, a 19-year-old Peyton Gendron entering pleas in the mass shooting at Tops Supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo in May. Guilty to 10 counts of first-degree murder, 3 attempted murder charges, a weapons violation, and state domestic terror motivated by hate.
That is per se automatic. Life without parole.
Gendron's sentencing set for February, though he also faces multiple federal hate crime charges, which carry the potential for the death penalty.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, attorneys for victims' families, say today's plea is only the first chapter of accountability. Police in California now say the man suspected of killing 3 members of a family and taking off with a teenage girl was a Virginia state trooper until recently.
Austin Edwards was killed in a shootout with police Friday in San Bernardino County, California, after Riverside police say they spotted his car. He was suspected of killing Mark and Sherry Winnick inside their home along with their daughter, Brooke. Riverside police say Lee had pretended to be a different person online and catfished Brooke's teenage daughter. He then drove from the East Coast, killed the teen girl's family, and left with her. After Edwards was shot and killed, the teenager was taken into protective custody.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. State police in Virginia say Edwards became a trooper earlier this year and resigned last month. Day 2 of jury deliberations after a long holiday break at the trial of several Oath Keepers members charged with seditious conspiracy and other counts in the Capitol riot. The defense has argued there was no plan to attack the Capitol. America is listening to Fox News.
Missed Black Friday? Dell's Cyber Monday event starts now with deals on powerful business tech. The savings start now with up to 50% off on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Cyber Monday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling, weather.
A mix of clouds and sunshine as we go through our Monday afternoon, 55. Fair share of clouds around tonight, 42. Tuesday, warmest of the week, windy from the south. Mix of clouds and sunshine, 64 on Tuesday. Tuesday night, periods of rain. Count on some thunderstorms around. Could end as a little bit of light snow or snow flurries late Tuesday night, windy and 30. Wednesday and Thursday, 38. That's it for the high. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
97.1 FM Talk and Straight Realty would like to introduce you to Brian Kilmeade in person, December 9th. For details and to purchase your tickets now, visit 971talk.com/events.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet Store. Does it feel like someone is stabbing a knife into your heel? Does your lower back hurt more and more as the day goes on?
I had to go nonstop from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet Store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. Now, thanks to the Good Feet Store, I'm 100% pain-free.
Come to the Good Feet Store this holiday season and give the gift of pain relief to you and your loved ones.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Flex spending and gift cards available. Some restrictions apply.
Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose, to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The holidays are fast approaching, and it's the best time to call Zero Res. Book now and save before the holiday rush. Get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at just $129 and a free room of fiber protectant for an $80 savings. Call 314-474-2020 or online, ZeroResSTL.com. Tell them that I sent you.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Business is difficult right now, putting a lot of good workers at risk. If you're a business that needs flexibility with your workforce and don't want to lose your best employees, go to sharedwork.mo.gov and see what the Missouri Department of Labor can do for you.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
But one thing is for sure, we can't allow this strike to continue. And I think that both sides, quite frankly, don't want Congress meddling. And so I think as we get closer, you will see them really try to hash this out last minute. Because if Congress comes in, you don't know what the deal could potentially look like. So I think that's what everyone's trying to avoid right here. I just think that, other members of Congress, the White House certainly should be very vocal at this moment to try to push both sides to come to an agreement to avert what could be devastating for our economy.
So as we have all recovered now from Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holiday, and the cost of purchasing a Thanksgiving meal to prepare for all of your guests, watching inflation hit our kitchen table is a very difficult thing to do. But there are other things that are culminating right now in our economy that could have a drastic impact on our ability to purchase things, cost and supply. And we're going to talk to our friend Steve Moore about that. He is the Distinguished Fellow in Economics at the Heritage Foundation. He's also author of the book Govzilla, How the Relentless Growth of Government is Devouring Our Economy and Our Freedom. Steve, welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Good to have you here.
Hey, Annie, great to be with you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Yes, I did. I hope you and your family did as well.
We did.
So talk to me. What can you tell us about the potential rail strike that could potentially occur here and what that would do to our country?
Well, first of all, I bet a lot of your listeners are surprised to hear about this because remember it was just a few weeks ago that Joe Biden had that big press conference at the White House saying, I've averted this strike and, we've saved the world. All that was missing was the mission accomplished sign on the top of the wall. And yet here we are now. Isn't it suspicious a couple of weeks after the election, now all of a sudden the strike is back on? Mm-hmm. So I think there might have been just a pact between Biden and the labor leaders to just, get this past the election, and then we'll have the crisis. Well, the crisis is now getting very close, Annie, and this would do great damage to the American economy if this strike happened because, it's about $2 billion a day, the cost of the American economy. Just remember that a lot of our oil, our gas and coal are transported by rail. A lot of the products that you see on the grocery shelves and, the products that you want to buy gifts for Christmas, those would be disrupted. So it would be a huge negative for the American economy. And the reason, by the way, that you're seeing this potential strike and others as well, Amazon is now facing strikes, is that workers are agitated. They're angry about this high inflation, that their paychecks are not keeping up to the cost of living. And so I'm not saying that the rail workers are wrong here. I'm just saying it should be resolved. And one of the reasons you're seeing so much of this discord between management and labor is because of the high inflation rate that Biden gave us.
Yeah, we're speaking with Steve Moore with Heritage Foundation right now, and I think that it's confusing to a lot of people in the American public how President Biden, what his role is in these negotiations. I've heard some demands that have come from the rail workers, pretty steep demands, but if they feel as though they can get them, I guess that's what negotiated union labor, that's when you get the opportunity to negotiate, you got to put forth your best effort. What are they asking for, and what does the president need to do here to make sure that we don't incur that strike?
Well, I don't know all the particulars of the negotiations, but I do know they want expanded sick leave, which could be an issue. And the rail, companies say, well, that's a problem when, the rail workers call in sick and don't show up for work. But they also want a 24% pay increase. Now, that's, I think, over multiple years. And when you've got, that may seem like a lot, but when you have 8% inflation, 24% pay raise for 3 years is basically just keeping pace with inflation. So I don't know who's wrong and who's right about this, but what I'm telling you is that, this was supposed to be resolved and should have been resolved 6 months ago. Biden tells the American public, which is a lie, that it had been resolved, and it's now resolved. And now here we are, 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas, Annie, and we have a major strike. I mean, gosh, what are we going to do? Depend on Santa Claus and a sleigh to get these products under the Christmas tree?
Yeah, that's what we do in my house, for sure. Steve Moore with us right now at the Heritage Foundation. I think that another part of this rail strike story that really permeates so much of business right now is that there appears to be a shortage of rail workers. And if there's a shortage of workers, then they have the people who are the rail workers have more power. But we see that across the all industries right now, a shortage of people working. Is that because there are less people in the workforce? Is that because people have been incentivized to stay home? Why is it that good help is hard to find these days?
Yeah, good question. And we're all, as economists, trying to figure this out. I think it's clear that a lot of people left the workforce during COVID, and they just haven't gone back. They either retired early, or a lot of them stayed on unemployment benefits. And, the benefits are very high that Biden has given in terms of the health care benefits, the unemployment benefits, the food stamp benefits. People can earn, you got 2 unemployed parents, they can make, $80,000 worth of, pay and benefits from that. So I think we have to make sure that when we give benefits to people who lose their job, that they either have to be looking for a job or take a job if one's available, and not just stay on the public dole. The other thing that's going on, I think, is just, we need, more young people to be working. And a lot of them have, just not gotten jobs. And I don't know, I'm frustrated because we're missing about 4 million workers that were working under Trump that are not working today.
Yeah, I think that I'm one of them. So I'm going to say people wonder. I wonder about what was put in place during COVID, all of those financial incentives, because they shut everybody's livelihoods down. I mean, it started with government decision to say you cannot go to work. Oh, but here's some money. And then American people go, wait a second, you could just hand out money. And they kind of change their think about the whole process of being able to pay for goods. How much of COVID mitigations in the way of handouts and incentives to not work, how much of that is still in play?
I think that's a big factor here is that, we're just paying people not to work in Washington with so many of these benefits. And, look, I'm not trying to be a Scrooge here. I mean, I think we do want to give people help if they lose their job. God knows I've lost jobs in my lifetime, and people fall on tough times, but you have to do something to help yourself as well. And there's just too many people that are collecting the benefits and just figuring, you know what, it's kind of nicer to sit on the couch and watch Netflix rather than have to, be an electrician or be a plumber or, do some of the tough jobs, or a rail worker for that matter. So there is a shortage, and we'll see how long these shortages last, by the way, because the economy does appear to be slowing down a lot right now. And so we'll see if we continue to see that kind of situation.
Well, Steve, last question before we let you go. We appreciate your time. Yeah. You just mentioned electricians and plumbers, and you talked about it being hard work. And I'm listening to you. I have friends that, sponsor the show that I've gotten to know who work in these labor industries, and they really have, pre-COVID, had a hard time finding people who wanted to fill those positions. Those positions pay very, very well. And if you compare that to what you have to spend to go to college, I'm wondering if you think that the employment wave of people going to college to get a 4-year degree, to get some sort of white-collar degree, do you see the possibility that that's going to shift into more labor industries, or do you think that we're in a heap of trouble because people just don't seek those jobs out?
Well, it's a very timely question that you're asking, because there was just an article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal, but more employers are not requiring a 4-year college degree for jobs. And so look, my own opinion is that one of the great financial scandals of our time is how much universities are charging our families for a 4-year degree, where you have to go, $100,000 into debt, and that's just outrageous. So look, truck drivers now in some areas are making $100,000 a year with overtime and things like that. So you're right. College isn't for everyone. There is a value to a liberal arts education. I have one, but it's not for everyone. And I'll just tell you one quick story at the end of this conversation, which is that I was at one of my recent college reunions not too long ago, and one of my buddies, he was one of the few in our graduated class who didn't go to college. He started a paving company, paving roads, and started with 2 workers. And the funny thing is, we kind of laughed at him at the time and said, we're going to be rich because we're going to college. And at the reunion, he was the richest one of all of us. 'Cause now he has 2,000 employees, and he runs the biggest paving company in the Midwest. So by the way, may know who I'm talking about, Gary Rabine.
I was wondering if it was Gary Rabine. Yeah.
Yeah. Gary is a great story. And, he shows that, college isn't for everyone, and you can be successful in life without going to one of these liberal colleges that's going to teach you how terrible America is.
Yeah, exactly. And it costs so much to gain so little. Well, Steve, we appreciate you. Thank you for being on with us. We always look forward to our conversations with you on Mondays.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
You
Bye.
too as well. Bye-bye. He is the Distinguished Fellow in Economics at the Heritage Foundation, Steve Moore. Gary Rabine ran for governor in the state of Illinois, and he was kind of that outsider candidate who was a businessman. He has, I don't even know how many businesses, but he has a lot of things that he started up himself and made successful and threw his hat in the ring for governor. I'm looking right now at, I've talked to Corey Malone at Air Comfort Service, a great sponsor of this station for a long time, for I don't know, maybe decades. And he's been a partner with us here on the Andy Frey Show. And I remember the first conversation I had with him. I think it was in 2018 when he came on as a sponsor of the Andy Frey Show, like right from the beginning of my midday foray into being able to talk with you for a few hours each afternoon. And one of the things he was saying to me is, Annie, I can't get workers. And I remember one of the stories he was telling me is that there'd be people who would come to work for him in the summertime, and they'd have to work outside in the blazing heat. And he's like, they don't want to work. They don't want to work in the heat. It's too hot. He's like, Annie, I sell air conditioning. I just thought that was so funny and sad at the same time. But the idea that you can participate in an apprenticeship and be making really, really good money very quickly, working in the trades, being somebody who works in HVAC, being a plumber, being an electrician. I just see a lot of sense in that. And a lot of people who learn the trade, who learn the business, go on to start their own businesses. And they don't require that 4-year degree in order to get it. Hannah, I have a 4-year degree in TV radio. I do not need that degree to be here. You just finished your 2-year degree.
I did. And I don't even know if I needed that.
It's helpful. I think it's, I don't like to diminish the idea of getting an education, but the question is what do you get with that education? And for you to get an associate's degree makes a ton of sense to me in this industry because you got to learn, didn't you say you worked in high school?
My high school did have a radio station, yes.
Did you participate in it?
Oh, yeah. I was a program director.
Oh, she's a PD. She's the boss lady. The HBIC, head boss in charge.
Yep.
I mean, that's actual skill that moves you into.
Yes, I did learn a lot in getting my associate's degree, and I am glad that I got it.
Well, I'll tell you what, the extra 2 years that I spent in college, I'm glad I have my degree, and it maybe made me more, made me well-rounded in the things that I experienced, but at the same time, it almost made me, I think that probably the biggest quality that a 4-year degree, and I can't speak to a 2-year degree because I didn't get one, but certainly couldn't speak against it, is the idea that it shows you how to apply yourself and to see something through and to work hard and to meet standards that are set by somebody else, even if you don't like the standards, if you don't like the professor, if you don't like the class, whatever. I've told the story before about how it was my media law class. And the professor was female and she was talking. I don't even remember I don't remember what the lesson was about, but she was showing an advertisement that I think it was for a beer. I think it might have been for Budweiser or Bud Light or something. And it was 2 women on a magazine cover in like bikinis and they were selling beer, and she was criticizing that kind of advertising because she was taking a feminist approach.
Yeah.
And she was, suggesting that this company, whatever company it was using these women as a means to an end to sell beer. And I challenged her, and I challenged her. I said, those women weren't like picked off the street and said, you have to wear this and here, hold this 6-pack of beer so we can. That's not, those women are being paid. And it seemed like I'm not in a bikini on holding a 6-pack of beer selling these things because I wouldn't do that, and plus nobody would hire me. But secondly, these are women who chose to put on that outfit to sell
what they were doing.
This beer, and they got paid for it. I mean, like, I would think that the feminist movement would say this is empowering. I think today it would. I think that was in the early 2000s.
I don't even know if they would make an advertisement like that anymore. They'd be leaving someone out. Which makes me sick.
Well, they would, but it just would look different than it did in 2000, probably 4.
I have a question to you about the worker shortage. Do you think that is blamed more on Gen Z and the younger generation, or do you think older people are just not wanting to work as well?
I don't think. I mean, who's the oldest Gen Zer?
I don't know.
You're Gen Z. You're 21 years old.
Let me look this up.
Because I think millennials were born up until like 2000, so 2018, 2022.
So Gen Z, according to Google, is people who were born between 1997 and 2012. I didn't know. Wow.
And you
seems so young.
You were born
2001.
2001. You were born like the week after September 11th. That's right. Or a few weeks. So I really think that the biggest problem with Gen Z is that they haven't been taught to value work.
I agree.
And that I don't think that they understand the payoff of work. The payoff of work is money. The payoff of work is that you get to have a lifestyle that you choose to work hard to earn for yourself. And I think that the idea, like the most sought after career for young people, I wish I could remember the study that I saw this, but the most sought after career that people want to be is an influencer.
I'm cringing at that. I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, my son's 12. He still wants to be a professional baseball player. Okay. I want him to be a professional baseball player too. So we'll just hold on to that dream while it lasts. Young girls want to be actresses or singers. Now people want to be influencers.
Because it's the easiest job you can do. You can just do it from home.
It's all you. It's just, it's self-serving. And
I don't even like the word influencer.
I know. And I think that the idea that social credit is valuable is one that young people haven't learned. Does not pay your electric bill, which is, by the way, going up significantly. So I don't know, but I don't know that millennials have seen. I'm a millennial. I'm what I would refer to as a senior millennial, or Jack Posobiec coined centennial. Was born in 1984, and I understand what it was like to grow up in a world without the internet. We didn't have functional internet in our house until I was in late junior high. We weren't allowed to use the internet for anything useful because nobody knew what it was or how to use it until maybe starting in college. But millennials have suffered through a lot of very difficult economic downturns. And I think that millennials are growing into it a little bit more. I think millennials have much more common sense today than they'll probably ever get credit for until they're the old generation, and then we'll just be making fun of the young people, which is, I think, what happens when you separate people into age groups. We'll talk more about that later in the 2 o'clock hour. Let's take a quick break. I'm excited for our next guest, Will Scharf. He put out a thread, I should say, this weekend, and it was talking about crime. He's a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri. He's a former policy director for the Missouri Governor's Office. And he also worked on the confirmations of Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett. Will Scharf is going to be here in the studio, and he's going to talk about crime, the process of prosecuting crime, And he's going to talk about, especially, I'm also very much so looking forward to this. What do law enforcement, what risks do they actually take to keep you safe on a daily basis? And as a prosecutor, what is the legal system doing to uphold your security as well? Will Scharf in studio here on the Annie Frey Show when we return.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to BrentonVision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at BrentonVision.com. Some things happen slowly, and maybe you don't notice right away that you're slowing down, that you don't recover as quickly from injuries or sore muscles, and you kind of wonder why, but you just go on with your life. Victory Men's Health was set up with you in mind. They have medical doctors who've been working in the area of men's health specifically for 30 years. If you've got low T, if you've got ED, if you're dealing with any of those issues, don't suffer in silence. You can thank me later. Book your appointment at victorymenshealth.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Recent impacts with inflation, ongoing COVID concerns, and geopolitical conflict have us all and the markets on edge. Heisey Advisory Group understands the importance of having a customized strategy for retirement, especially during uncertain times, to help ensure these concerns don't have an impact on your retirement. Heisey Advisory Group is a St. Louis-based, family-owned and operated holistic retirement planning firm. Our team has defined a process that puts together all the pieces of the financial puzzle, working with all of your service providers to help develop an individualized plan that grows with you as your life changes and your needs evolve. If you're not confident that your retirement plan is on track to deliver the lifestyle you want amid historic levels of uncertainty, call us today at 314-328-6000. Again, that's 314-328-6000.
Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Firm provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Mark Reardon Show.
December 9th, Brian Kilmeade live at the Missouri Athletic Club, 6 to 10. It's going to be a great event. Still some room available. Go to 971talk.com to join us.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
400 of my closest friends, forgotten names that I pretend to know. It hasn't even been that long. So how have you been? You look the same. Remember when the Doughboys played a coming and they broke up on your lawn?
An 18-year-old was shot in the arm just before 8 last night on Union and Delmar. Another 18-year-old shot and killed in North St. Louis at around 9 Saturday night. Someone shot the victim while that person was sitting in a car parked on Geraldine Avenue near Harney Avenue. Investigators say the car also has damage from gunshots.
So there is a report from Fox 2 from today. I will add to you. We have a guest in here. I'm so excited to have Will Scharf in here. We're going to talk a little bit about who Will is here in a second. But Brad was messaging me. He's like, "What kind of sound do you think?" I'm like, "Find something that's from a local news, TV news, and find some crime."
Can I tell you how much like murder and shooting within, I would say if I just took a 3-day picture on YouTube of just Fox 2, which is where that sound came from, there had to have been 7 or 8 different clips of this person was shot, this person was killed, this person was murdered, this person was whatever. I was just blown away by the amount of that in St. Louis.
Nobody talks about it because it's so common. It's unreal. What is really going on in the city of St. Louis? But honestly, probably St. Louis is a microcosm of what's taking place across the country. Well, Will Scharf knows a little bit about that. He's the former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri. Yes, that includes right here in St. Louis. He's a former policy director for the Missouri Governor's Office, and he worked on confirmations of Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett. And Will is in studio with us here today. Will, thank you so much for coming in and joining us to have this conversation.
Thanks so much for having me. I've been a longtime fan of the show, and it's great to be here with you today.
Well, it's funny how you and I started this conversation because you put out a tweet thread, which if you follow Will on Twitter at Will Scharf, SCHARF, I highly encourage you go do that right now. You put out this tweet thread this weekend, and it struck me. It was actually sent to me by somebody close to me, and I read through it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is super impactful. I'm going to let you tell the story. I'm not going to read your tweets to you. You sat down and you said you were on an airplane.
Yeah, so I left the U.S. Attorney's Office here after about 2.5 years in the violent crime unit there last week. I was flying home to see my family in Florida on Wednesday, and I was reading news reports like the one you just played about crime in St. Louis, and it struck me that most of the people in this area, probably even most of the listeners of your show, don't really understand how bad it is out there. And we have police officers who are facing incredibly dangerous situations on a daily basis, who are unappreciated, underappreciated, certainly. We have a serious overdose problem in this area from fentanyl. We have drug dealers going unpunished who feel totally above the law. So I just kind of let it all out on Twitter, and the response was it was heartwarming, but also overwhelming. I think people are really concerned with the state of the streets, both here in St. Louis and around the country. And I think that the lack of a serious policy response, both from our local government here, our state government perhaps, and certainly the federal government, has people really worried about the future of our cities and the future of crime in this country.
So the tweet thread says, things I learned working as an assistant U.S. attorney prosecuting violent crime in St. Louis, America's murder capital. Brad's talking about just looking for something to play to intro you, Will, when you come into the studio with us. There's a handful of violent crime that took place in St. Louis this weekend, and it is so common and so attached to the name St. Louis that it doesn't even really get that much attention anymore. What did you learn as an assistant U.S. attorney prosecuting violent crime in St. Louis?
I mean, first of all, just the pace of violence in this city is astounding. Every night there are shootings. The number of murders we have here, obviously, that's something that's widely covered. But for a city of this size, even for a region of this size, it's exceptional, and it's not getting better. One of the issues we were talking about just before we went on the air is most murders in this region go unsolved, and of those that are solved, that are cleared, the police arrest somebody because of the issues we've had with local prosecutors here.
many of those murderers go unprosecuted or don't end up spending any time in prison for those crimes. And that just leads to a serious lack of deterrence. If people aren't being punished for, even for committing murder, you're going to get more murders. It's basic economics in a way. And I think if you talk to any police officer who's working overnight shifts in the city of St. Louis or even working day shifts, just the stuff they see on a daily basis, it's terrible, and it has to stop. And the fact that it's been going on for as long as it has in this region without a concerted policy response and without people really waking up to the situation that we have is really worrying.
I think about like political office and how if one is to run for political office, how they can make a difference. And I think about the mayor of the city of St. Louis. I think about Kim Gardner, who is supposed to be out there stopping violent crimes, any types of crimes from happening here in the city of St. Louis. And I have to wonder politically, the women specifically in those positions, where is their effort to make the city of St. Louis a safe place to live, a safe place to work, a safe place to tour, to come to a Cardinals baseball game or to go to the city museum? We have so much rich culture here in the city, and everybody who comes to downtown to St. Louis feels like whatever they're attending, I guess it's worth the risk. That's quite a statement.
But there's a big difference between coming down for a baseball game and then going out and getting beers or getting dinner afterwards and spending time in the downtown area, or coming down to a baseball game, getting in your car and immediately driving back west because you don't want to be here after dark. I mean, I think when you look at Kim Gardner's office, you have some really good prosecutors in the circuit attorney's office, but they're completely overwhelmed. Your average violent crime prosecutor in that office probably has a caseload of 300, 350 cases at any given time. That's an impossible burden.
What is it? What you said? The average prosecutor has 300 to 350 cases a person?
Don't quote me on that. I'm spitballing a bit. But
what is it like in a non-murder capital of the world city?
I'd guess half that. Wow. For a normal DA's office in a normal city, but they're just overwhelmed. And what you see is cases, murders, assault ones, shootings. Being pled out at much lower charges. And then we have an issue where some judges just don't believe in sentencing hardened criminals to long terms in prison. So in my tweet thread, I talk about, for law enforcement to work properly, it's a three-pronged stool. You need police officers making good quality arrests. You need your prosecutors bringing good quality cases, getting convictions. And then you need judges, you need judges who are willing to apply appropriate punishments to dangerous criminals. And I think in St. Louis, at times, we have none of those three. That the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department's probably 400, maybe even 500 officers under strength for the task that they have. Kim Gardner's office has real problems prosecuting the cases that they have. Has had real problems, not issuing cases, even where officers have made good arrests. And then on the back end, we have liberal judges who just don't believe in punishing criminals. And until we fix those three things, it's the future's not bright.
So we're speaking with Will Scharf. He's a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri, the former policy director for the Missouri Governor's Office, and a long history of working in a whole array of different legal situations. And I want to talk to you, if you can you stay for another segment?
I'm happy to stay as long as you'll have me.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk to Will Scharf when we return about Kim Gardner, her position as a circuit attorney, what she's doing, who she's supporting, who is she helping in her position. And honestly, because I was talking to him on the break about this, when a crime is committed in St. Louis, a murder is committed in St. Louis, what's the flow of that process? How is that person supposed to be put in jail? And what happens in St. Louis that has far few criminals behind bars serving the consequence of their actions? Will Scharf will explain that to us as somebody who's seen this from the inside on the Annie Frey Show when we return. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
gotta get it at Clement. Find the car you want, new or used. Get it at Clement, get pre-approved. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. ClementAutoGroup.com.
If you are somebody who runs a business, if you are somebody who is the IT guy for the business that you own, but you're also like the person who makes the products and blah, 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 blah. Roadmap Technologies is a great asset to have because you can't afford to be your own IT guy who's not very good at IT. You can't afford to suffer the consequences of missing something. You can't afford at this point in time, especially paying for IT services or for products that you're not really using because you felt like there's an ad online and it made you feel safe and secure. You want a team, and maybe you don't want to hire a whole IT department at your small business. So you reach out to Roadmap Technologies. These guys know exactly what they're doing, and they can help you navigate the IT situation at your specific place of business for your benefit. 314-222-0057. That's 314-222-0057. When you partner with Roadmap Technologies, they've been in the business here in St. Louis for over 10 years. You're going to have someone who's going to help find those hidden IT costs that you might have. They're going to make sure that you're safe and secure with all of your different programs that you're running, that you have all of the right licensure and more. Reach out to Roadmap Technologies at 314-222-0057, online at roadmaptech.com.
Brian Kilmeade here. I'm coming back to St. Louis December 9th at the Missouri Athletic Club for a Brian Kilmeade live event with my friends at 97.1 FM Talk. Enjoy a delicious filet dinner, cocktails, and we'll talk about my book, The President Freedom Fighter, and all the news that consumes the headlines. Plus, everyone who attends will receive an autographed copy of my book, now out on paperback. For tickets, go to 971talk.com/events.
Brian Kilmeade Live is presented by Straight Realty.
I'm looking forward to seeing you December 9th.
For tickets, 971talk.com/events.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Big ideas, real debate, solid entertainment. You found it here.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We appreciate you being with us here this afternoon on a Monday after Thanksgiving. Happy to have you along with us on 97.1 FM Talk. We have a special guest in studio, Will Scharf. He's the former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri and a former policy director for the Missouri Governor's Office. And he put a Twitter thread out this past weekend, I believe it was November 23rd. You can follow him on Twitter and read many threads. He writes a lot about history, but this specific one struck me, and it really took the Twitter sphere by storm, at Will Scharf, SCHARF. Go follow him, and you can read the thread that put me in contact with Will. But you're talking about what you learned as an assistant U.S. attorney prosecuting violent crime in St. Louis. Will, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. I want you to explain to me, a murder is committed in St. Louis somewhere. Kim Gardner, politically, it's very easy for someone in my position to just, shake my fist at the sky because of Kim Gardner. I don't know that everybody really understands the process that's in place. Somebody is charged with murder. How does that process flow in St. Louis, and what is Kim Gardner's role both in her circuit attorney job but also politically? How does that all shape up?
Sure. So, I mean, the process starts before Kim Gardner's office even sees it. First, police officers have to investigate the murder, and they need to figure out who did it. And one of the things that can make that very easy or very hard is whether you have witnesses who are willing to cooperate with an investigation. And if witnesses think that murderers are going to be punished, they're much more likely to come forward, and they're much more likely to cooperate with police. If witnesses think that their efforts are going to be for naught one way or the other, and that whatever they say, whatever they do, however much they help the police, murder is going to be back out on the street the next day, they're much less likely to cooperate. So first, the police need to go out and solve the murder, and that can be made much easier or much tougher based on what people perceive as the likelihood of criminals actually getting punished. After the police make an arrest, the circuit attorney's office here in the city of St. Louis needs to make the decision of whether to issue charges and what charges to issue. And then they need to actually prosecute the case and hopefully secure a conviction in court. We were talking before about how the circuit attorney's office is overwhelmed. They have a lot of cases. Their prosecutors have insanely large amounts of cases that they're dealing with. But I think it's also worth noting that Kim Gardner came into office as part of this wave of George Soros-funded prosecutors, starting really in 2015 and 2016. But we've seen that supercharged since then, and they don't view their primary responsibility as traditional prosecuting, as traditional. The nuts and bolts of traditional prosecutors' offices, and they believe in these sort of newfangled concepts of restorative justice, of giving hardened criminals chance after chance after chance after chance. One thing I talk about in the Twitter thread that you mentioned is that crime follows a Pareto distribution. A very small number of criminals commit an overwhelming number of crimes. So for each criminal you take off the street for, let's say, a shooting, you're probably preventing maybe even dozens of other felony offenses in the coming years. So there are a lot of things that have to go right for a murderer to be successfully prosecuted, and it really only takes one or two things to go wrong for the whole system to be destabilized. And that's what we're seeing here in St. Louis. That too many murderers are going unprosecuted. Too many guys are walking out on the streets without serious penalties, and crime breeds more crime. And until we kind of get this system working the way it's supposed to, we're going to see a lot more of it.
What makes St. Louis exceptional? We find ourselves at the top of the murder capital of the world, a violent crime list that seems to get released like every quarter. There's like, oh, by the way, St. Louis still sucks when it comes to violent crime. People do not feel safe. You don't have to see a study to make you go, yeah, you want to go take your family downtown St. Louis for a 8 p.m. dinner somewhere? Yeah, I mean, people are averse to doing that because they just don't feel safe. What causes St. Louis to perennially be in that position?
Well, it didn't used to be this way. I mean, I feel like here in St. Louis, we're always talking about our city's history. I mean, this was once one of the great cities in America, and we followed a path of kind of urban decline that a lot of other cities followed as well. But we've just been completely unable to pull out of that. And in the last decade and a half or so, things just seem to get worse and worse and worse. I think the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, you have a lot of really great officers there, officers who do incredibly dangerous work and consistently, in spite of that, consistently build good cases. They're undermanned, they're under-resourced. I think right now especially they feel unloved and unsupported by their political leadership. And that's, that leads to more crime. I mean, police officers have to make thousands of individual decisions in a given shift, in a given night. And each of those decisions is potentially a life or death decision. And officers are naturally not going to make a lot of hard decisions that they otherwise might if they think on the back end that they're going to get slammed for it or they're not going to be backed up for it.
Will Scharf is in studio with us. He's a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri, a former policy director for the Missouri Governor's Office. And on his Twitter, @WillScharf, he explained what he's experienced on the job. You talk about, and we've got about 5 minutes left here, you've talked to me and about your understanding of what law enforcement goes through. And I think the thing that really stuck with me on this Twitter thread that you put out, your last tweet, I could go on in this vein for a while. I'm incredibly grateful to have had the opportunity to work in an outstanding U.S. Attorney's office and to support the effort of truly outstanding law enforcement officers. Go thank a cop, seriously. And you said that the first point of this whole process is obviously good police work. What can you say about what you know about what St. Louis city police officers deal with? I mean, and why should we be thanking them?
On a day-by-day basis, in order to keep us safe, they're going out, they're chasing bad guys down dark alleys, they're getting shot at. Obviously, officers in this region have been both shot and unfortunately killed in recent years. This is an incredibly dangerous job, and I think we should be really grateful that in spite of all the political challenges, in spite of the challenges that this region faces, and in spite of what I would call the lack of support they've gotten from their political leadership, these guys are still willing to go out and do the job every single day. So I mean it when I say, next time you see a police officer walking a beat, next time you see a police officer in a car, if you have police officers who are friends of yours or family members, thank them for what they do, because we all really owe them a great debt of gratitude.
Will Scharf with us right now. So you know what these police officers go through. You have worked side by side with them to try to prosecute the crimes that they are, bringing to be prosecuted as they're investigating the incredible violence that is taking place here, I guess, in the entire Eastern District of Missouri. It's important that we do show gratitude, because politically the support behind law enforcement has been abysmal. And we certainly stand and back the blue here on this show and on this station every single day. And it's great to have your viewpoint here in studio with us to back it up with receipts. But what else needs to be done? What do Missouri voters, constituents, residents of the Eastern District that you served, what do they need to know and do other than show that gratitude to actually potentially make a difference for their living here in this area?
So I think it's important to note that every political issue, every political challenge facing this city and this region flows through the crime issue. You're not going to get real economic development in the St. Louis region until we fix the crime problem. You're not going to get the improvements that we all want in our public schools, and particularly in the more troubled districts and the more troubled neighborhoods, if kids are getting shot at on the way to school. So crime really is, to me, the linchpin of the policy challenge facing this state right now. And I think voters need to be willing to hold their political leadership accountable for this. I mean, many of us live in safe communities where, thankfully, we don't have to worry day by day about getting shot at, about the more the more vicious aspects of this problem. But we're all in this together, and until our political leadership wakes up and is willing to address this problem in an effective way, we're all going to suffer. We're all really in this together.
I have about 2 minutes left here, but we were talking off air, and you were spitballing a little bit about how much crime that actually occurs gets prosecuted in this area, and with so few police officers, so many people who are maybe averse to jumping into that profession in such a dangerous circumstance. Let's talk about that real quick here before we have to go to a break. How much crime is being committed that doesn't even get attended to?
Yeah, so if you look at the murder data alone, there's a group called the Murder Accountability Project. I think it's murderdata.org. And they compile clearance rate data. That's the number of murders that are actually solved. Here in St. Louis, it depends year by year, but between a third and half of murders are administratively cleared. That means they result in an arrest, or there's basically a suspect identified. So that means that between 2/3 and a half of murderers aren't even being arrested, aren't even being identified as murderers. Then you have the problems that we've talked about with the circuit attorney's office and prosecuting murders. And then you have the issue with some judges who just aren't willing to sentence criminals to effective sentences. When you add all that together, there really isn't much deterrent for criminals to commit violent crimes in this region. And until we change that, until we make criminals pay for what they're doing, it's going to be a dark winter.
Man, well, Will Scharf, Hunter on our Annie Frey YouTube channel says, I wish this guy was the mayor. And
I'm not sure if I'm electable in the city of St. Louis anytime this century. But,
his name is Will Scharf. So next time you write your comments, say, I wish Will Scharf was the mayor. And I want to thank you for coming on. You just told us this is your first media interview ever. And you did great. And I appreciate you coming in here. And one of the reasons why I wanted you to come in here, there's a lot of people who we have on the show. They do this professionally. They do media hits all day long. And Will, you're a guy who's been in the system. You are a former federal prosecutor. You know the ropes. And your story coming on here and telling us what you need as somebody who's seen behind the curtains is an incredibly important one. And if you will, we'd like to have you come back sometime soon.
I'd come back anytime. Thanks so much for having me.
How about the 2 o'clock hour? Just kidding.
Yeah.
We will have you back. And for folks who have been listening, if you appreciated what Will brought to the table, please go onto Twitter and follow him at Will Scharf, SCHARF, and read some of his threads because they are fantastic. And I want to make sure that you connect with him because we're going to, as your first foray into media coverage, we're going to have you back and keep digging into this because it's such an important topic.
Thanks so much. And to all of y'all out there, thank a cop.
Yeah, thank a cop. 100%. Back to blue. Let's take a quick break. The 2 o'clock hour on the Annie Frey Show in a minute.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-600-5536. That's 1-800-600-5536. 1-800-600-5536.
Stewart's American Mortgage, Stewie the Bagel Loan guy, guess what? He has low rates right now, lower than have recently, like the last 90 days. Whew, they went up. What he has been able to do with the Bagel Loan, if you got a mortgage in the last 90 days, I want you to check out Stewie and the Bagel Loan, because when you refinance that high mortgage rate that you had with the lower ones that are available right now with the Bagel Loan, you don't pay any fees that every other lender out there has charged you for. Plus, Stewie has the 2-1 buy down. It's just a way for sellers and realtors to partner with Stewie to make sure you can sell the house. The buyer gets to secure a lower rate than what is the prevailing rate out there, and you get to sell your house for what you've been asking for. Reach out to Stewie for all the details on the 2-1 buy down. And if you did secure a mortgage in the last 90 days and it's pretty high up there, rates have gone down. Refinance with the Bagel Loan. That's going to cost you nothing to go through today. 314-324-4440. You can Google the Bagel Loan and MLS number 226715.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
They'll gather to grieve. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. A candlelight vigil set for tonight in Chesapeake, Virginia, where a Walmart supervisor killed 6 co-workers last Tuesday.
That gunman killed himself, leaving behind a note claiming his workers bullied and harassed him and that he came to believe his phone was hacked. 6 other people at the Walmart were wounded.
Fox's Eben Brown. The gunman who killed 10 black shoppers and workers at a supermarket in Buffalo becomes the first person convicted of a hate-related domestic terror charge in New York State.
Today, our client pled guilty to every count of the indictment, with the full knowledge that he will spend the rest of his life in prison with no chance of parole.
Brian Parker, the defense attorney for 19-year-old Peyton Gendron. Attorneys for victims' families say it's only the first chapter of accountability. Gendron still faces federal hate crime charges. 5 Connecticut police officers now face charges over the treatment of a black suspect who was paralyzed from the chest down while riding in a police van in June. Investigators say 36-year-old Randy Cox went headfirst into the wall of the van when the driver hit the brakes hard. Some officers accused of mocking him and suggesting he was faking injuries before Cox was dragged by his feet into a holding cell, transferred later to a hospital. The officers were placed on administrative leave, now charged with misdemeanor counts of reckless endangerment and cruelty. That case led to police reforms in New Haven. We the People, the theme for the White House holiday decorations, unveiled by First Lady Jill Biden, along with a lot of mirrors tucked into the displays.
You will see your own reflection and a reminder that a request to see yourself in this house. And we are grateful to be able to welcome Americans home.
The We the People theme, inspired by the country's founding, she says, to remind Americans what unites them all year. America is listening to Fox News.
Missed Black Friday? Dell's Cyber Monday event starts now with deals on powerful business tech. The savings start now with up to 50% off on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Cyber Monday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling. Weather.
A mix of clouds and sunshine as we go through our Monday afternoon, 55. Fair share of clouds around tonight, 42. Tuesday, warmest of the week, windy from the south. Mix of clouds and sunshine, 64 on Tuesday. Tuesday night, periods of rain. Count on some thunderstorms around. Could end as a little bit of light snow or snow flurries late Tuesday night, windy and 30. Wednesday and Thursday, 38. That's it for the high. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. The Steel Holiday Gift Guide has outdoor power tools and more for everyone on your list. Visit your local Steel dealer or go online to stihlusa.com/gift guide.
The Diamond Shop is destination stuff, folks, for your Christmas shopping. I want you to check out thediamondshop.net. That's thediamondshop.net right now. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pieces in every price range. Don't think that let's just put it this way. If you're buying something nice for someone special to you and you want to really make a statement, but you don't want to have to spend like billions of dollars, they still have beautiful pieces at the Diamond Shop that are likely going to fit your budget. If you're looking to buy something super special, even if it's beyond the holiday season here now, think about this. Valentine's Day is coming up. That's weird to say. Well, why do I bring that up? Because they have 6 months, same as cash. So if you're looking to make a purchase in the future and you want to put some money down and work your way to it, 6 months, same as cash is a great way to save on the perfect piece of jewelry with the very, very best and kindest people in the business. They've been in Clayton since 1910. They know what they're doing. They have success working with so many St. Louisans across the area on both sides of the river. People make the Diamond Shop their destination. Reach out to them online at thediamondshop.net.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orse and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
At Shane Company, we know that love and meaning can be captured in a beautiful piece of fine jewelry. That's why we offer so many options to make your holiday gift even more personal. Jewelry with a birthstone makes a wonderful gift because it holds so much significance. Shane Company has unique styles with birthstones for every month of the year. Diamonds, cultured pearls, rubies, opals, and more. Why not create a necklace with her birthstone and then add a charm for good luck? A necklace with the first letter of her name lets her know how important she is to you. And our gold letter charms sparkle with diamond accents. Or select an engravable style. Give your loved one a bracelet inscribed with the place you met so they'll never forget that moment. Or capture your strong connection with a promise ring inscribed with both of your initials. Our jewelry consultants will make it easy. At Shane Company, we give you so many ways to create gifts infused with meaning. Treasures they'll have forever.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Fact-checking the mainstream media daily.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You found it here. 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, happy Monday, and it is a happy Monday because you're upright today. So happy Monday to you after Thanksgiving. Was it difficult, Brad and Hannah, for you guys to? You had 2 days off, right, Brad?
Yeah, 4 counting the weekend, but yeah.
Well,
2 days.
like two
Thursday,
extra
Friday.
days. So you had a 4-day weekend.
Mhm.
You had a sick day plus a 4-day weekend,
Yes.
Hannah. So you were recovering from being sick, but it's Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving, even if you're not feeling great, Thanksgiving kind of has a feeling to it.
It does.
Mhm.
A warm, fuzzy feeling. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
It's a great turkey feeling to it.
Is it hard? Is it hard to come back to work after a 4-day weekend like that?
It's always hard to go back to work after a 4-day weekend.
I'm glad you added after a 4-day weekend.
Honest,
I thought you were just going to say it's always hard to
It's
come
always
back
hard to
here.
go back
Man,
to work.
Can you imagine working with you? No, I
Honestly,
can't.
I was ready to come back this morning.
Yeah?
I was ready for it. I really enjoyed my time off, even though the beginning I was sick, but I was ready to get back into schedule and hear from our listeners and be back in the flow.
I had to remind myself last night and this morning that whole idea, we've talked about this on the show before, and I hate this phrase because it's like this stupid thing that young millennials, I'm just going to cut off, at least like post 1985. It's a very specific cutoff date.
Shwoo.
We have to name everything. Like everything has to have a kitschy name. I think that's because you have, I think the idea of naming things is due to social media because you have to write about it. So if you got to write about it, it's got to have words attached to it. But the Sunday Scaries.
The Sunday Scaries. Adulting.
Yes. Adulting is stupid. Just what do you like?
The Sunday Scaries. I thought that was only when you were hungover. You had the Sunday Scaries.
I thought it was always about going back to school.
School, work, whatever. You get the I learned about this on my own show. I did not know that this was a thing. But the Sunday Scaries being that feeling that you would get on Sunday when, like that moment where it sets in, weekend's over, you got to go back to school. You've got homework that you've got to do, or you just got to go back to work, and you just don't like it. I am blessed that I don't have that feeling.
Yes.
Brad's like, that's good for you.
Yeah. No, I don't usually have it, but like I said, the 4-day weekend gets me used to not having to get up and be anywhere.
Don't you get to the point somewhere in that 4-day, and I took Wednesday off because my kids were off, so I had a 5-day weekend. So as of Tuesday night, Tuesday, I got done with work. I had a girls' basketball practice. That practice starts at 3:30, and it's in Illinois, folks. So there's no downtime. Not to mention the fact I have to pick up my kids from school at like before 3:30. So I leave from here, hustle to basketball practice, and then there was a boys' basketball game in East St. Louis. So we had, and by the way, since I mentioned East St. Louis, congratulations to the East St. Louis Flyers. I think it's 6A state champions for the football. That's awesome.
Nice.
And they were big boys.
Yeah.
And they won, as they should. So congratulations to them. But that being aside, we had a grade school boys basketball game Tuesday evening. So in my mind, I was not going to be able to go, 5-day weekend until after that basketball game because we had to go. But driving home from that basketball game, I'm like, this is amazing. And then it's like midday Friday after Thanksgiving is over. So, and we host Thanksgiving at our house. So we do all the cooking. I was cooking. I do the baking. My husband does the cooking.
Did Rosie eat the pie?
Rosie ate no pies.
Oh,
Heck
good.
no, Rosie ate no pies.
Rosie's a good dog.
I know
She doesn't do
is.
that anymore.
Not anymore. Not any less. Just kidding. I started baking on Sunday just to kind of get a heads up. And I had everything but one thing baked by Tuesday evening.
Oh, wow.
Wednesday evening, excuse me. So I was like ahead of the game because we are always so stressed out. My husband and I are like at each other's throats by the time people show up for Thanksgiving. I'm like, happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm so thankful. That's bad. So we tried not to do that this year.
Every couple ever.
Yeah, and we were successful at it. We were like, look at us go, like high-fiving in the kitchen. Like, we're not arguing with each other and we're ahead of schedule.
That's how Terry and I are all the time.
High-fiving in the kitchen?
High-fiving in the kitchen.
Shut up.
Brad.
Stop it.
Look, one of these times you're
Stop.
going to have to get her in here to figure out if I'm telling the truth or fibbing. But
No, I believe you. Terry's super patient and super organized, so I totally believe that.
Same with Brad.
My house is chaotic, so we are not like that. And this year we were. Friday, Thanksgiving is over. You got leftovers that you can eat at any time during the day, and you're just kind of chilling out, and you're like, I got a whole weekend ahead of me. And there's just this moment where it's like, what if I didn't ever have to work again?
yeah.
And then you come back to reality and Monday shows up and you're like, I have a job and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I don't know how many times my wife and I looked at one another on Friday and we're like, it's just Friday. I keep feeling like it's Saturday, but it's just Friday.
That's an awesome, awesome feeling.
Yeah. Are you guys like this? Because this is what I do on these long breaks is like, I know I've got a big break coming up and I'm like, all right, I've got a list of things that I want to get done. I want to do X, I want to do Y, I want to do Z. And then that time gets there on those days and you're like,
no,
I don't want to do
I'm on
any of that.
vacation.
Yeah.
Sort of, but I've become more realistic in this that I decide that I'm on, and I am very much different than my husband in this because he is a busybody. He's not one to sit around and like put your feet up and just enjoy time passing, which I long for that. I fantasize about that. We spent so much time relaxing this weekend, and that was my goal. I had a ton of things to do, and I just don't have downtime. So the exceptional thing for me to do on a break like that is to sit still. And we did that until last night.
Good times.
I didn't expect to see your tweet at 2 something in the morning.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to see my tweet at 2 something in the morning either, but I
was
just could not fall asleep. And it's not that I wasn't tired. I was tired. I was in that mode where you're like halfway conscious, but halfway like falling asleep, but you just can't fall asleep. And that was me.
Ooh. I do believe I have ADHD, but I think that even in the time that I have read about it and assessed it and kind of applied it to me, I've just realized a lot of the things that people with ADHD have, I like strengths and weaknesses that come along with that. It's not a condition that is all punitive. It's almost like I say to my husband, it's my superpower when I can harness it. And hyperfocus is a part of that. And hyperfocus, I don't know if either of you have ever experienced hyperfocus or feel like you have any ADHD tendencies. I am somebody like for me, part of the ADHD thing is like the idea of procrastination, but like even the simplest tasks that I know have to get done, like really need to get done. It could be it could be literally a 45-second task that needs to be taken place and it doesn't get done and it doesn't get done. And at some point it's like in the back of your mind and I saying this out loud, it just makes me even feel ridiculous for it. But it's like you can know that this thing needs to be done and just can't bring yourself to do it. Why? What is that?
I feel that and don't feel ridiculous for saying that. I'm sure there's a million people out there who relate to you. I do as well. And I feel like I recently all of a sudden feel like I have ADHD. Like it just kind of slapped me in the face. But I think the more I hear about it and the more people talk about it, I'm like, that is me.
I actually saw it was a doctor talking about this. I saw it, I don't remember if it was YouTube or whatever, but they were talking about it's not that you are procrastinating, but it's the way your brain is built and your brain literally will not let you do the thing. You know the thing needs to be done, but your brain won't let you do the thing.
It's so simple and it's so basic. But then what happens is the floodgates open at usually around 10:30 p.m. Just much to the chagrin of my husband, who is not like this. At 10:30 p.m., I'm like, I should really do that thing. And all of the things. And it turns into me being up at 2:30, standing in a pristinely clean room where we have, folks, I can't even begin to explain to you the laundry situation in a house with 6 people. It's awful. Like if we could all just agree to be in a nudist colony and no clothes, I would have to really consider voting in favor of that. I know that there would be consequences of the action, but the benefits, people, the laundry.
Does this mean I don't have to do laundry?
Yes. And I mean, 3 girls, this is the plight. My son's clothes, the one problem with my son's clothes now is my son is large enough because he just has shot up like crazy in the last year. When I see my memories that pop up in Facebook of him a year ago to now, it looks like there's a 3 to 4 year time span that has been stolen out of there. It's driving me crazy. But now his clothes are starting to mix in a little bit too much with my husband's clothes.
Uh-oh.
Because my son is a men's small and my husband's like a men's large. So if their laundry was done together, it would take a lot of time to go, is this Charlie's or is this Jared's? But my daughters, 10, 6, and 18 months almost, their clothes, there's so much of it. And there's so much of it because we've been gifted a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Like my Molly, my youngest, her clothes are all hand-me-downs. Pretty much all of them.
As it should be.
Yes, correct. And my middle girl, her clothes are all hand-me-downs. I have to remind myself that I have to get my 10-year-old clothes. I'm like, don't wear that. You've grown out of that. And she's like, I don't have anything else to wear. I'm like, oh yeah. Let's go to Kohl's. Let's go to the clearance aisle in Kohl's. I buy a ton of their stuff on Swap on Facebook. Like even my oldest kids, their stuff. My son, we have been so blessed with my cousin who has 2 boys who are older and they've outgrown things, and she has been so generous with us. But there's just so much. And when you're going from 7 a.m. till it's 8 p.m. at the earliest when you're getting home at night, it is incredible. Like laundry just does not make the cut of things that need to get done. And then all of a sudden you look around, you're like, where's the floor? One of the things that the Closet Factory did for our house, our laundry is on the second floor with our bedrooms. And we thought when we bought the house, oh, this is great. It's going to be upstairs. The laundry won't make it into the living space because I hate having laundry all over the place. You pull it out and it's in the living room and everything. It'll be up on the second floor where all the clothes are. And we don't have a laundry room. We have a laundry closet. They took our laundry unit, they stacked them, and they built in specific shelves that fit baskets. So we don't have a laundry room, but we have a very, very efficient laundry closet that was done by the Closet Factory, who I'm super excited to partner with on this show. Last night, we started at about 9:45 or 10. And at 2:30, we had, because what we do is we get done with all of the laundry, we clean all the laundry, but why is it so hard to fold it and put it away? Do you have this problem? Neither of you have children, so I don't know that.
I have the designated chair.
Yeah. That's the clean clothes chair.
Yes. And I really have been trying in the past 2 years to not ever put anything on the chair, because once one thing goes on the chair, then all of a sudden it's stacked high.
Have you ever sat in the chair?
No.
Right?
It's the laundry chair.
Sitting on the laundry chair with the fresh pile of clean, fresh out of the dryer clothes sounds amazing.
But the chair, is the chair for sitting?
No.
Just get a wardrobe.
I need to get rid of the chair.
And then what would you do with your clothes? You'd have to put them away.
Yikes.
For sure.
I just hate the idea of folding clothes.
It's terrible.
It's the stupidest thing ever.
Are you more of a hang your clothes type of person or put everything in a drawer?
I'm more of a Terry does the laundry kind of person.
Oh, wow.
Brad doesn't do any of the house.
I do the outside stuff. I do the traditional guy stuff.
That's great.
That's our arrangement.
At least
we
you
agreed
don't
on
give
that.
your wife an allowance.
No, no.
A la one Ryan Wiggins.
She gives me an allowance, actually. She handles the bills and the finances, so.
Annie, what are you? Do you like to hang your clothes or fold them?
The Closet Factory also did our master closet. So I
You need to go upstairs in your house and check this out.
Very nice. And we went, which you can do there's a whole spectrum, but we were like, let's get the most organization for our budget that we possibly can. It doesn't need to be fancy. This is not like, ooh, come see my closet. This is like, ooh, get the clothing off of the laundry chair.
Make it so I can
into
close
the closet.
Make it so I can close the doors.
Yes. And I mean, for us, for sure, 2:30 at night, it culminated in us folding. 2:30 in the morning, it culminated in us. We folded so many baskets of laundry that were clean that hadn't gotten to be folded yet. And if it does not get into the drawer or into the closet after it's been cleaned, it's going to get mixed with dirty laundry, and you're going to have to do it all over again, especially with these bratty little kids. And I do it sometimes too. And this bratty little wife.
They come by it honestly.
Yes. And so I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm like, we can't stop. It's too dangerous. You have to get the clothes where they belong, or this is all for naught. We should just go to bed and just leave it everywhere.
Slope.
So we sorted out all of the clothes that needed to be washed and dried still. The process is like the room. I was vacuuming at 2:15 in the morning upstairs where the kids and the baby are sleeping like a crazy person. This is what hyperfocus is. But I get more done during 4 hours of hyperfocus than I will like the rest of the month.
Okay, Brad and I disagreed on this. Do you think hyperfocus is a good thing or not?
Yes, I think it's an
I think
amazing
it's a great thing too. Brad wasn't sure whether he thought it was positive.
It just depends on when it hits. If it hits and it keeps me up till 2:30 in the morning, that's
not hyper focus though, because hyper, like you have to make yourself end it. Hyper focus doesn't really stop. So if you're feeling like it's keeping you up, I don't think it's hyper focus.
No. What I'm saying is like if you go on a hyper focus, like when it hits, if that's something that is rolling you along, and then you're up till 2:30 in the morning, that's not a good thing.
But Annie, do you feel like you got something off your plate with the laundry?
Oh my gosh, it needed to happen so bad.
Yes, that's a great feeling. I am for hyperfocus.
Same.
But you can get that done without. I mean, we already talked about ADHD and that sort of thing, but you can get that done without hyperfocus. But it's more of a measured.
Meh.
Nick on YouTube says, I've watched the same load three plus times from ignoring it.
Yes.
Yes, that's why I had to get in the drawer. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more about some of the issues of the day here on the Annie Frey Show. We're glad that you're back with us. We've had quite a full show so far. We've talked about Kevin McCarthy for speaker, yay or nay? The YouTube live chat poll we talked about at 12:25. Who wins the Georgia runoff primary for the United States Senate, Raphael Warnock or Herschel Walker? What do you think? You can go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote in that. We spoke with Steve Moore about the economy in the 1 o'clock hour, as well as hosting Will Scharf, who's a former federal prosecutor here in the Eastern District of Missouri, and talking about the real impact of crime on law enforcement in this area across the country and the violence that takes place in St. Louis on a daily basis. A really interesting conversation that I encourage you to check out on the Annie Frey Show podcast, or you can rewind on the Odyssey app to 1:25 p.m. and listen to Will Scharf. Take a quick break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on 97.1 FM Talk.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to BrentonVision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at BrentonVision.com.
Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloored.com. Go shop at Michael's Flooring Outlet for your flooring needs. Now, one of the things that I like to really highlight about Michael's Flooring Outlet as a long time, one of the longest running sponsors of 97.1 FM Talk, is how they understand you, how they know what you are working for and working hard for. You are sacrificing your time to make money, to invest in things that matter to you. So when you take that hard-earned dollar to a business like Michael's Flooring Outlet, they want to earn that business. They provide you with top quality products at a fantastic value. And throughout the entire process of shopping for flooring, whether you're looking for carpeting like the Mohawk Smart Strand brand or some of the other high-end flooring lines, or something that is very affordable and serves the purpose of your needs, when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet, they have the best sales staff around to make sure that your budget is honored and you get quality products that you are searching for. So look for your next flooring purchase. You can find them online at igotfloored.com.
This is Jimmy Conrad, 1/3 of In Soccer We Trust, a CBS Sports Network podcast covering every angle of the U.S. men's national team's return to the World Cup stage. The Stars and Stripes lock horns with Wales, England, and Iran later this month. In Soccer We Trust, we'll be there for every step of the way before, during, and after the tournament, including match previews and recaps, breaking news, roster breakdowns, special guests, and much more. In Soccer We Trust is all in for the World Cup, and we want you to come along for the ride.
Listen to In Soccer We Trust on the Odyssey app and anywhere else you find your podcast.
Procrastination. We've all been there. But have you been dragging your feet when it comes to creating your retirement plan? I've heard it all from, I have time before I need to make a decision, or I'll eliminate debt first and then get ready for retirement. I've seen far too many people waste valuable time for their retirement planning, and I don't want you to be one of them. Hi, I'm Ken Heisey with Heisey Advisory Group. I'm on a mission to help people recognize the potential destructive impact procrastination can have on their retirement plan. Don't procrastinate. Call us today at 314-328-6000 to ensure you get on the right path toward your retirement dream. 314-328-6000. Again, that's 314-328-6000.
Heisey Advisory Group provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Brian Kilmeade here. I'm coming back to St. Louis December 9th at the Missouri Athletic Club for a Brian Kilmeade live event with my friends at 97.1 FM Talk. Enjoy a delicious filet dinner, cocktails, and we'll talk about my book, The President Freedom Fighter, and all the news that consumes the headlines. Plus, everyone who attends will receive an autographed copy of my book, now out on paperback. For tickets, go to 971talk.com/events.
Brian Kilmeade Live is presented by Straight Realty.
I'm looking forward to seeing you December 9th.
For tickets, 971talk.com/events. If you're a fan of 97.1, get a t-shirt. Visit 971talk.com/merch to see all the new t-shirt designs and show your support for St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
I think it's so cute, and I think it's so sweet.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Oh, before you speak. I to the no, no, no. My name is no. My sign is no. My number is no. You need to let it go. You need to let it go. Need to let it go. I to the no, no, no.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being with us here on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. The YouTube live chat poll today, who wins the Georgia runoff primary for United States Senate? Brad said it's Walker. You still stand by that? You changed your mind?
Nope.
In the last 90 minutes?
Slimmest of margins.
But whatever, win's a win.
Yep.
Literally, that's all they need is the slimmest of margins.
It's like Vin Diesel. It doesn't matter if you win by a foot or a mile. Winning's winning.
Winning is winning. Hannah said she wants Walker to win, but you don't think he's going to do it?
No, unfortunately not.
I think Warnock's going to win. I just do. He got the most votes in the last one. Although I do think that Brian Kemp's victory in Georgia and Brian Kemp's support of Walker matters.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I said that whenever he came out and started campaigning with him. I was like, this is big. Because it seemed to me like after the Georgia election, there was a distinct, like, we don't want Trump people. We like Kemp people.
Mm-hmm.
And him coming alongside Walker, Kemp coming alongside Walker, gives Walker more of a Kemp credibility than a Trump credibility.
I wish their names started with something drastically different than WA. It's hard to
know. I know the difference, but every now and then I'm like,
yeah, which one is it? Here's something from the Washington Times from Saturday. California Governor Gavin Newsom bowed out of a potential 2024 White House bid, saying he would support, and that just popped up and it won't go away, who would support President Biden's reelection instead. Mr. Newsom, who has been floated as possible presidential contender, said he's made his intentions clear to everyone in the administration. I've told everyone in the White House, from the chief of staff to the first lady, Mr. Newsom told Politico. On Mr. Biden running for another term, the governor said, I'm all in. Count me in. Mr. Newsom is the latest Democrat to announce wholehearted support for Mr. Biden following a stronger than expected midterm election for the party. The headline here is Gavin Newsom says he's all in for Biden 2024, vows not to make White House run. Isn't there an addendum there that needs to be, say, against Joe Biden?
I would think so.
I don't know that he has said he's not running at all. Because the headline, this is like where it frustrates me. Like if you read the headline, you think one thing, and then you read the story and you're like, Announcing wholehearted support for Joe Biden. It doesn't, if you're a Democrat and you didn't want Joe Biden to run for re-election no matter what, it does not serve the Democratic Party any purpose to say, oh, he's not running because he's a lame duck president then. And you would force the Democrats to have to start the primary now, which, guess what, folks, costs a lot of money.
Costs a lot of money, and it creates division, and it would be harmful to their agenda for the next 2 years.
Exactly. Which is why it's in all of the Democrats' best interest, the ones who are probably formulating their campaign committees. I mean, I don't honestly even trust that they haven't had a conversation with Biden where he says, I don't think I'm running. But he wants the support from them right now. It's just like I was saying, there's all these conversations and deals and everything that are made. And I said to Brad, I guess it was Wednesday, because it was when you were on the air and I wasn't. It's like, don't you think Marjorie Taylor Greene had to have told Kevin McCarthy, I'll support you for speaker, but you're going to keep this person, this person, this person, and this person off of serving in committees, because that's what they did to her.
Yeah. These were the people that were key in getting me off of committees, so you keep them off of committees.
Adam Schiff, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell just makes me laugh when I think about him. I don't take him seriously. He is funny to me.
Yeah. And Ilhan Omar.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Her as well. So she says, in theory, I'll support you for speaker if you keep these people off committees. And he's like, okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, don't tempt me with a good time.
And you look at Gavin Newsom, he's all in for Biden 2024. Of course you are.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on the Democratic side is. That doesn't mean they think he's going to run.
Well, yeah, you're all in until you're not. It's just, it's words. His commitment means nothing to me. And he strikes me as a Justin Trudeau type.
He's just like a political, whiz.
Well, I wouldn't even say a political whiz. Just that, self-righteous, arrogant,
qualifications for being a political whiz.
Right.
Put it on the resume.
But and also slimy.
Yeah.
But who will say the right thing to get what he wants until he's ready to strike, and then he'll stab you right in the back.
Do you guys feel personally attacked by daylight savings time ending?
No. I think it's a blessing. I love it.
Blessing?
Anna
daylight
disagrees.
savings. Are we not? We're not talking about the clock falling back. We're talking about changing daylight
The
savings.
status that we're in right now.
Yes.
When
this.
when it gets dark early, do you feel personally attacked?
Oh, yes. I do.
No.
No, Brad
you get to see my Christmas lights.
Yeah, early.
Which are beautiful.
Yeah, he
loved
sent us
the
a picture. But my son has said, and these are the types of things that when you have a 12-year-old son, I'm always like, did you just hear this? from somebody, and are you repeating this because you think it's going to get attention? Like I'm vetting everything he says to me. And sometimes he's legit, and sometimes like, oh, knock it off. You don't even know what you're saying. But he has repeatedly talked about how much he hates how it gets dark so early. And I know that that's the prevailing thought, is that the darkness setting in at 4:30 p.m. makes people not so happy. I'm a freak, and I like it.
Both of you.
Yeah, I get it. I understand it. I know my place. I'm okay with it.
Hey,
I am at peace.
Both of us like it, which makes you the oddball in this one.
I know I'm not alone. Where's Ryan Wiggins when I need him?
No, we are definitely in the overall minority. This is an article from the New York Post that is about CNN. A recent online article from CNN argued that daylight savings time disproportionately affects the sleep and health of minority communities. The piece published on Friday by CNN health reporter Jacqueline Howard argued that daylight savings time often disrupts sleep, throws off people's circadian rhythms, and can contribute to general health problems. And since people of color have a higher number of health problems, this means observing daylight savings times is more dangerous for them.
That's so dumb.
This never ends.
No.
And also, I don't really think that dropping daylight savings time is like woke. Is it? I don't. The piece began by citing Vanderbilt University Medical Center Sleep Division professor Dr. Beth Mallow, who claimed, quote, daylight savings time is associated with an increased risks of sleep loss, circadian misalignment, and adverse health consequences. Okay. That's a statement. Well, Howard also cited National Institute of Environmental Health Science researcher Chandra Jackson, who stated, quote, poor sleep is associated with a host of poor health outcomes, including obesity, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain cancers, including the breast and colon. I know that this isn't how science works, but there are more white people, so maybe it disproportionately affects white people. Is that not how science works?
Well, I think what she's saying is there's a higher percentage of.
Yes, I understand what she's saying.
But
we don't even need to.
But I just don't. No, I don't think that there's any credence to it. I think people look
daylight savings time is racist.
Yeah.
Or the ending of it is.
Everything is. Everything is. If you look hard enough, you can figure out a way to make anything racist if you want to.
Jackson added the key point, stating, quote, many of these health outcomes are more prevalent in the black population. Howard noted, quote, it's not that white adults don't also experience a lack of sleep and its health consequences, but people of color appear to disproportionately experience them more. And that's believed to be largely due to social systems in the United States. Well, then fix the social systems. Don't get mad at daylight savings time or the ending of it. Like I said.
Daylight savings already gets enough hate. Now look at it. That's ridiculous.
And the thing is, it's only bad for like one day.
I don't
It's
agree.
only bad for one day.
I think majority of people would disagree with that. It's bad for about
But
12
majority
weeks.
doesn't make it right. It's just adjust.
Howard also described other ways this alleged racism manifests in our society. She included the quote, the history of discriminatory mortgage lending and appraisals in the U.S., which affect the conditions in which people of color may live, how predominantly white school districts tend to get more funding than districts serving people of color. Hint, hint, school choice. Don't be resorted to being forced into a school within your zip code, and that would change. And that was my insertion, that not part of her quote. And back to the quote. And even how hair discrimination may contribute to some black women using potentially harmful chemical hair products. She cited Jackson again, who stated, quote, it is believed that discriminatory policies and practices across sectors of society create the physical and social conditions that make it more difficult for black families to get optimal sleep and grow up healthy. I mean, maybe it's true that if you're a person of color, that you are more susceptible to some of these health conditions. Scientifically, I think that can be proven. I know for a fact that the care that women of color receive, like in the delivery room, it can be statistically proven to be different than what white women receive. That's terrible. Let's address it at the core. Instead, it's almost as if tying everything that exists out there as being tied to some sort of racially discriminatory systemic problem, that the existence of being able to talk about the problem is more important than fixing the problem. And then if you went to try to actually fix the problem, that problem would not be there to discuss anymore. And a lot of people would be out of the job.
Yeah. yeah, that is 1,000% what the issue is.
We see that here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have made your name and your living and your abilities based on, addressing racial justice, when racial justice has been achieved, you don't have a job anymore.
It's an industry.
There's no way. Yeah.
Black Lives Matter as an organization has been proven to master the industry of like currency based on racial discrimination. I would hope that if you're listening to the show right now, you understand that people who are white live a different existence than people who are not white. I think that is something that is obvious. I would also say that, Brad, you walk through this city at 10 p.m. at night, you're going to have a different experience than I am. We're both white. You're male. I'm female. I'm 38 and white and female. Hannah is 21 and white and female. Her existence as a younger female is going to be different than mine. And our demographics do play a role in that. So it would be foolish to think that somebody whose skin color is different, that there wouldn't potentially, that the possibility certainly exists that their walk through life is going to be different than somebody who is different than them. And I think that saying that out loud is a good thing. And acknowledging that and having that be a part of how you live life, to know that you have a perspective and an experience. Myself, as a 38-year-old white suburban female, I don't know what suburban has to do. I drive a minivan. This probably puts me in a class of people. That my experience as a middle-aged white female. Dang it. Hold on, I need a minute. How long can I sit here and just think about that? 6 seconds?
As long as you're making noise.
Middle-aged white female is going to be different than you, Brad, as a middle-aged white male. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm young at heart. It's all right.
Yeah, of course he's okay with it. I just feel like the industry that is the capital B, capital L, capital M it's not helpful to them in this really weird way. It's not helpful for them, for somebody like me to be like, I absolutely believe that black people or brown people or people who are non-white experience things differently in the world than I do as a white person. That's a statement I have no problem making. And it's a statement that I want to remind myself of when I'm going through the world, through my life, to respect that and to learn from it. And I think that that's something that we can learn from on a regular basis. Men and women have different experiences. People of different ages have different experiences. People of different heights have different experiences. Different weights have different experiences. That is something that we should know and respect. But when you find out that people are making money off of it, what interest would they have at making that problem go away if the problem in and of itself is profitable?
Yeah, I said it. There's no interest in that.
Just remember, folks, Black lives have always mattered. It's that simple. I have no problem saying that sentence. If somebody is making money off of that sentence and capitalizing the letters and making it an organization living in mansions because they've created that and the problem isn't going away, potentially it's even getting worse, you got to ask questions about that. But if you are pro daylight savings time, just need you to know where you stand, according to CNN and their researchers. Let's take a quick break. Let's talk about the Georgia runoff primary when we come back in the YouTube live chat poll. You can go vote right now by going to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. You guys got to get this dance down because we are creeping up on 5,000 subscribers.
Wow. I need to do some choreography.
Yes, you do. Like I said, you should. This is a total Ryan Wiggins thing to do, but you need to set the bar really low. So that maybe once people see that, they'll be interested in recommending us to their friends to get us over the hump of 5,000 subscribers, which would be crazy exciting. We're at 4,323. So we've gotten 323 subscribers in like a month's time. So we need to get this dance down. Maybe it should be a holiday dance.
I have some ideas.
All right. Well, let's make it happen. Go vote in the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll about who's going to win that Georgia runoff primary. And if you haven't yet, go subscribe to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We'd love to have you. There's a ton of fun stuff that goes on there outside of what we just do on the regular show, the live stream every day. Our Anna, our favorite Anna ever, does amazing things and makes us laugh every day with the stuff we do on this show. And we hope that you'll enjoy that as well. Stick around. The poll results with Hannah in a minute. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I've been doing live endorsements for Genesis of St. Charles for a couple months now. This is Ryan Wiggins. But it's an exciting time to be a part of Genesis. This is a very growing brand, and Genesis of St. Charles is about to have the first Genesis facility in all of Missouri. So they're doing well. Thank you so much for responding and just checking out Genesis. And, of course, going to Genesis of St. Charles. I've been saying they're in the Hyundai showroom, the St. Charles Hyundai showroom. Test drive a Genesis right there. They have the models. You can visit genesisofstcharles.com. By this time next year, actually the middle of 2023, they will have a building that you can visit. It'll be the only Genesis building in Missouri. But right now, you go to the St. Charles Hyundai showroom. They're part of the St. Charles Automotive Campus, just a quarter mile east of Mid Rivers Mall on Veterans Memorial Parkway. You're going to love it. It's young luxury. It's luxury you can afford, which is surprising in this market, especially because they could jack that price up. They're not doing it. Genesis of St. Charles, genesisofstcharles.com.
FullyDentalGroup.com. If you're looking for a dentist, I want you to check out Fully Dental Group. They're easy to get to from anywhere in the bi-state area. They're on 270 and 159 in Illinois, and they have a brand new facility that has been built with you in mind. Think about that for a second. The idea that you can go sign up to get an appointment scheduled, be a new client at Fully Dental Group. When you go in there, you're going to understand immediately how they design this place with the new patient in mind. People who have not been to the dentist for a long time. Zero judgment and a whole health approach to your dental care. They can really assess quite a bit of your whole health through that dental appointment that you're going to have with them. They have the top-notch technology, and I'm telling you what, right now, the very best dentists around. If you were looking for somebody who can help you with an ache that you have in your mouth, if you're looking for somebody who just needs to clean your teeth, you don't have any problems, you just need to go to the dentist, or if you have something even further than that, sleep disordered breathing in adults and in kids, implants, dentures, the whole thing, Fully Dental Group is your destination. 618-288-9670, 618-288-9670. The dentist of the Frey family. You can find them online at FullyDentalGroup.com.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Make sure your furnace is ready to safely heat your home this fall. For heating service, repairs, or a new HVAC system, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Missouri Congressman Ann Wagner is with me.
Candidates matter, and that people rejected extremes on both ends.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being with us today. I want to play this clip for you before we go to a break because I want you to hear. This is Tyler Adams of the U.S. men's soccer team, and the question is asked by a reporter for Iran from Iran's state media. Listen to this.
You say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong
Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear. Second of all, are you okay to be representing a country that has so much discrimination against black people in its own borders? And we saw the Black Lives Matter movement over the past few years.
My apologies on the mispronunciation of your country. That being said, there's discrimination everywhere you go. One thing that I've learned, especially from living abroad in the past years and having to fit in different cultures, is that in the U.S. we're continuing to make progress every single day. I grew up in a white family with obviously an African American heritage and background as well. So I had a little bit of different cultures, and I was very, very easily able to assimilate in different cultures. So not everyone has that ease and the ability to do that, and obviously it takes longer to understand, and through education I think it's super important, like you just educated me now on the pronunciation of your country. So it's a process. I think as long as you see progress, that's the most important thing.
This guy's from Iran, not Iran. Iran, and I'm going to say that correctly now because I appreciate knowing how they say it. That's fine. Just like Kyiv. Remember when everyone's like, it's Kiev, and they're like, no, that's the chicken. In Ukraine, they say Kyiv. And you come to find out when we were talking about Ukraine, especially at the very beginning when Russia invaded them, that Kiev is the Russian pronunciation of that town, and Kyiv is the Ukrainian pronunciation of the town. So everybody started doing Kyiv basically to support Ukraine. This state-sponsored media reporter calls out Tyler Adams of the men's soccer team for saying Iran. Well, I guarantee you he was not saying Iran as a slight to Iranian people, but was it George H.W. Bush, Saddam Hussein? He said that specifically. Mm-hmm. It was a purposeful pronunciation to say Saddam Hussein's name differently. Okay, so it's Iran. But the Iranian guy's going to have the cojones to come out and say to an American who... Guys, I'm not a soccer fan. I don't know anything about it. I am pro USA, Team USA. Yay. Soccer. I don't know anything about these people. Tyler Adams is a black man or a man of color. He is a person of color. Iranian guy, state-sponsored media, says to a person of color who plays for the U.S. men's soccer team, do you know how racist your country is? Well, he would know if the country is racist, if the country does have these tendencies. And he says, yeah, there are problems everywhere. And we're making progress. That guy right there, Tyler Adams, he handled this so perfectly because he did not deny a lot of, like I imagine China getting a question like this. They'd be like, China is perfect. China is gold. China is top notch. He says America has issues. But we're working on those issues in the United States. And he's proud to play for the United States soccer team. And Iran? Like, give me a break. They're protesting right now in their own country. How do the Iranian people treat women? Does it matter if the women are people of color, Mr. Iranian state-sponsored reporter?
It's just so frustrating to me because he's sitting there, he's like, yeah, we kill women because they don't wear their head coverings. But how about that racism in the United States?
Yes. And all of this is in a part of an Iranian-American conflict that exists outside of soccer that's boiling into the World Cup. They play tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game unfolds. I don't know that, like, the victor goes the spoil. Like, if Iran wins, then, okay, you can be a nuclear country. We don't care. I mean, maybe we don't care. It kind of seems like we don't. I love that Tyler Adams, the soccer player, said, but we're making progress, and that's what counts. That is the opposite of CNN saying daylight savings time is racist. Isn't it?
Yes.
Like our own people here on the world stage. Everybody in the world knows that the World Cup is happening. On the world stage, an American person, a man of color, has a finger pointed in his face to accuse his country of being racist. Like, how do you stand for that? And he says it's not perfect, but we're making progress. That is an amazing American story.
Well, yeah.
And that is the American story.
It is the American story. And the fact that CNN or whoever it was it CNN, Washington Post, that they're reporting that daylight savings time is racist is proving that we are making progress, because we're not talking about lynchings anymore. We're not talking about poll taxes. We're not talking about slavery. We're talking about daylight savings time as a form of racism. So if daylight savings time is a form of racism and we used to hang people for being black and sleeping with white women, I would say we've made progress.
It's just unbelievable. And I commend Tyler Adams for responding that way when he's a soccer player there to play a sport and handling that situation so delicately. Let's get to the YouTube live chat poll. Hannah, what do you got?
The YouTube live chat poll is asking who wins the Georgia runoff primary for U.S. Senate, Raphael Warnock or Herschel Walker. With over 150 votes, 56% of the people voted that Herschel Walker will win the runoff
What
primary.
percentage?
56.
56. We got a little bit of optimism there in the Annie Frey Show audience.
That's good. And 44% say Raphael Warnock. Really quick, I'm going to get to a comment from Katie Matthews from YouTube. She said, I hope and expect Georgia's libertarians to go to the polls and vote for Walker. They have seen what 2 years with 2 Democrat senators have given them, and they will show America how to vote for change.
I like your optimism, too.
Me, too.
I don't know if I
Katie.
agree with it, but I like to know that it exists. It gives me just a smidgen of hope that I will probably squash with cynicism on my way home today. But I appreciate it, Katie. Thank you for commenting. Stick around. We've got Mark Reardon Show coming up right here on 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis is home for conservative talk, and it makes it home here because of you. And we know that you get to choose where you listen, what you listen to, and any minutes that you spend with us. We're grateful for, thankful for this holiday season. Stick around. The Mark Reardon Show coming up next.
I like the chip I got in my front teeth. And I got back
to doing what I love.